your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
Get out of here, Jason Ross. You had 4 hours. Yes. He's back. Allen Stiles Show, Sacktown Sports, taking up to 2 p.m. And to say that we have a lot to discuss would be an understatement. So I'm going to get right on into it. Obviously, if you were listening to Crosstalk and you made your way over to the 10 to 2 slot with myself and Kyle Ledbetter, thank you for joining us. But not only do we have to discuss all of the new situations with De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan spoke to the Run It Back pod. Michelle Beadle, friend of the show, almost a year to the day where we had Michelle Beadle on this show. And DeMar DeRozan is talking about his future with the Sacramento Kings if they move on from De'Aaron Fox. And oh, by the way, the Kings actually played a game last night. Not that I think anybody cared. And honestly, in the second half, and Mr. Doug Christie, Coach Doug Christie probably wouldn't appreciate me saying this, second half, it didn't really look like the Kings cared. Looked like they cared in the first half. And the second half just got a bit awkward. And I think that's the theme of this show today. Awkwardness. You've ever been in an awkward situation where you got to hang out with somebody and maybe that somebody knows your ex, maybe that somebody is your ex, maybe you beef with this guy, but you both have the same friend, so you're at the same birthday party and you got to pretend like you like this guy, a cousin that owes you money. Awkward. Because that's what I saw last night in this game. Awkwardness. The first half, not so much, right? Looked like the Kings were the Kings. And even in that third quarter, but something happened where it was, hey, De'Aaron, do you want to take over? What's the situation here? Are you trying to play? Doug Christie, everything that he's built these last weeks and even up to a month out the window right now. Dead men walking the plank. That's what this Kings team is. And I'm not saying that De'Aaron Fox has to be traded. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that at the end of the day, this isn't fair. What we watched last night is not fair to the team and is not fair to the fans because we saw a team that's just waiting. Awkwardness. That's what we saw. I told you this would go one of two ways. And again, I'm not going to speculate on De'Aaron being checked out. All I'm going to say is that everyone is human. And we are watching humans try to fight through a very big storyline. And this team is not strong enough to do it. Heck, I don't think most teams are strong enough to do it. And basically everything that Doug Christie has built has been thrown out the window. You don't have to trade De'Aaron, but not only is this going to be a long couple days until their next game. By the way, OKC lost to the Warriors without Jonathan Kuminga and without Draymond Green. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dropped 50, so they're going to be ready to whoop that you-know-what. It's going to be an extremely long 7-8 days until the trade deadline. And I don't think anybody has it in them. I really don't. And by the way, this is what's happening with the Kings fan base right now and the sensitivity to this De'Aaron Fox situation. It's a little much now. Some of y'all are coming at Rasay Fox on social media. You should be ashamed of yourself. And you better be lucky she's not quote tweeting you because you could lose your job. Some of you are going at media, okay? Jason Anderson tweets last night that this could be the last Kentucky Connection lob, and people lost their minds. You would have thought that Jason Anderson is the one that requested a trade. I know De'Aaron Fox technically didn't. You would have thought that Jason Anderson was the one that sat there and said, De'Aaron's got to go. And Jason Anderson does not need me to protect him. Honestly, if I said, hey, Jason, man, it's crazy what they're saying to you. You know what he would probably tell me? Allen, is part of the job. But I saw that and I thought it was ridiculous. Everybody's is free to say what they want. And you're free to disagree. But the cussing and the bleep you're getting blocked, embarrassing. Be better. I'm serious now. Be better. When it comes to the sensitivity, I saw people freaking out that NBC Sports California, who we know is in partnership and in bed with the Sacramento Kings, they put out a poll about De'Aaron Fox. What would you do? And people, you would have thought that NBC Sports California stole your dog. I mean, this is ridiculous. How could they do this? You think Monty McNair is the one sitting there saying, hey, put that on a poll. Let's see what the people want to do. I get it. Everybody is hypersensitive right now, and it's an emotional feeling. And to be completely honest, maybe I'm not taking into account how emotional it is because I just got out here a couple years ago. But what I'm seeing from people losing their you-know-what, it is incredible and not in a good way. And I say all this to say that this cannot go. I don't know how this can go on for 7 days until the trade deadline. I don't see it. 8 days, 7 days. I don't see it. We're essentially a week away in a couple hours. I do not see it. With that being said, I don't necessarily know how Monty McNair or Wes or Vivek would come out and say, hey, here's an update, because it doesn't seem like they're great at giving those anyway. But this team needs to know what is about to happen. You can't go to OKC the way they went into Philly. They lost to Philly, who was on the second half of a back-to-back with no Paul George, no Joel Embiid, no KJ Martin, a bunch of dudes missing. And you were getting out-rebounded by Kyle Big Booty Lowry, who's about 37 years old. It's clear to me that everybody knows the product that we're watching is not the product that we saw before all of this broke. So maybe it is impossible to put the toothpaste back in the tube. We have sound from Sam Amick. Maybe it's impossible to put the toothpaste back in the tube in a full regard. But the least the Kings can do is do enough damage control internally. You don't have to say anything to the fans. Internally, to ensure that this team at least has some semblance of a team before they get embarrassed on Saturday. They could get embarrassed on Saturday. And I'm not even talking about pocket watching. I'm not even talking about the standings, because the Warriors got that W. So now the play-in is in question. Other teams, like I said, the Timberwolves, they beat the Suns. They're heating up. You can't allow this zombie situation to go on much longer. You can't fix the past. We all know you can't fix the past. But what you can do is, at the very least, try to fix the present. So I don't know. I don't know how that goes. I do not know how that goes. Do you have a team meeting? Hey, guys, obviously we know what's going on. And, we're working with De'Aaron. That's separate. But, hey, we're still riding with y'all. Do you just feel like you don't say anything and just move De'Aaron? Because the thing is, they might not move him. They might not move him. We could be sitting here a week from today, and they might not move him. And now, at that point, unless they've added somebody, they've probably tricked off about 3 more games. They're headed back to where they were before the 7-game winning streak, and there's nothing to show for it. And De'Aaron is most definitely out the door, because you're not going to the second round, because you're probably going to be scraping into the play-in. So you can't change the past. But what you can do is make sure the future and the present is in a better spot. That is the responsibility of Monty McNair. That is the responsibility of Wes Wilcox. That is the responsibility of these guys. And it's not even about saving their butt, right? And saving their how they're viewed, their narrative, things like that, their reputation. It's not even about that. It's about doing the right thing. You got dudes out here playing. DeMar DeRozan coming out here playing at 35 years old. Moved his family out here. You paraded him around. And now DeMar DeRozan is on podcasts saying he doesn't know what's going to happen. And some of you might blame that on De'Aaron Fox. And I don't think his hands are completely clean. But where we're at right now is not what NBA basketball is about. And you can't go to the best team in the league on Saturday like this, or you will get embarrassed. And embarrassed is probably putting it lightly, because you got embarrassed the last time you played the Thunder. As we break down everything that happened last night in Philly, at least G-Man got to enjoy a cheesesteak. We also have the newest from Shams. We have the newest from Sam Amick, who is on the morning show. We want to know, who is De'Aaron actually calling trash, right? If there is a way for the front office to save this, is the path, hey, De'Aaron, what exactly is it that you want? Will that help? We'll have that conversation. Like I mentioned as well, Jason Bede of the Orlando Sentinel, he joins us at 12:30 to talk about if De'Aaron could be a fit there and what the return could be for the Sacramento Kings. And at 1 o'clock, Brandon Nunez and my guy, Chris Watkins, joins us for our roundtable. We also have our AEW giveaway. Kyle, are we doubling up? Because we were so busy. We were so busy yesterday. We have to double up today. So 2 giveaways in the next 4 hours for AEW Dynamite Wrestling Extravaganza. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
All guests and callers join us from the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Keegan, can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system and you were a bit surprised at how much it cost? Or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking up to 2 p.m. Of course, with everything going on, we normally wait about an hour to open up the phone lines, but the phone lines are going to open up right now, 916-339-1140. If you want to be a part of the conversation, Kyle, already putting Kyle to work. That's what I love to see on a Thursday. Make him earn that paycheck. I'm just messing with you, Kyle. And I don't know if the Kings earned their paycheck last night, maybe half their paycheck, right? The Kings were outscored. They led 80-68 with 6 minutes left in the third. Sixers outscored the Kings 49-24 the rest of the way. They didn't run out of gas. They just got flashbacks of the end of the Mike Brown era, in my opinion. No direction. No direction. Nobody understanding what their role is. Nobody buying into anything. You could have the best motivational speaker in the world talk to the Kings before that game last night. They were losing. I try to prepare y'all. Now, to be fair, I said there's two ways this thing was going to go. They didn't get smacked per se, but they did look lifeless. And, I'm looking at this box score, and it's so funny in a game like this with the situation going on. Does the box score matter? Can somebody explain to me how Domantas Sabonis takes 6 shots? Can somebody explain that to me? How exactly does that happen? And 2 of them were 3-pointers. And by the way, out of all the games where the Sacramento Kings have been outlengthed, AO, and not big enough, AO, the tallest man on the Sixers was 6'9" last night, or 6'10", 6'9", 6'10", with Mr. Baguette Yabusele, okay? Or maybe that was Adam Bona in the starting lineup who came off the bench. And in a game like, out of all the games, Domantas Sabonis has 6 shots in that game. It just doesn't make any sense to me. That tells me they had, not to say they didn't have a plan, but they just did not know what they were executing. And you know what? That's why I love Malik Monk. And this is not a him versus him conversation, but give me a dude who doesn't care about narratives. Give me a dude that doesn't care about storylines. The only man I trust, I still trust Domantas Sabonis, but really the only man I trust on the Sacramento Kings night in, night out for max effort is Malik Monk. That's it. Now, that's not to say he's going to play well every single night. That's not to say he's going to ball out. But you know that Malik Monk is going to show up every single night. And that's all you can ask. Malik Monk had 19. He took 15 shots. He took 18 shots. He had 21. De'Aaron Fox had 19. 1 for 5 from three-point range. Keegan Murray actually had 17. Just a weird game. How in the world does DeMar DeRozan have 19? Keegan Murray had a great game, by the way. Keegan Murray had 17. Malik Monk had 21. De'Aaron Fox had 19. How do you lose that game by more than 10? I'll tell you how. Effort. And once again, you're getting out-rebounded. How old is Kyle Lowry? Kyle Lowry,
38 years old.
I don't even think he was in Prize Picks. Kyle Lowry turned back the clock. Eric Gordon turned back the clock. I mean, this is insanity. How do you let Kyle Lowry get 13 points, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds? That tells me this team is shot. That tells me this team is absolutely shot. The bench, I mean, what's there to talk about? They got destroyed again. Kevin Huerter, welcome back to the program. 5 points in 10 minutes, 1 for 4 from three-point range, and that's Idris out there shooting. Keon Ellis struggled last night. And y'all know, I know some people are untouchable for the fans, and you can't talk about. Keon Ellis has struggled offensively, and let's be honest, defensively. Tyrese Maxey was cooking. So Keon has been in a bit of a slump. And once again, not to throw shots at the front office, oh my goodness, what a surprise. A second-year player from the G League who went undrafted is in a slump. You know why it matters that much? Because your bench is garbage. That's why it matters so much. We're sitting here breaking down Keon Ellis being in a shooting slump because you struck gold with him and you don't have any bench production when he does not shoot well. Trey Lyles, 15 minutes, 4 points, 5 rebounds. Alex Len was out there. He got an assist, not the Tony Snell. Alex Len was out there for 5 minutes. Devin Carter, who I was told was untouchable. Devin Carter is untouchable. He's also unplayable. So that seems like a bit of an issue. So you can't move Devin Carter because he's going to be good, but he's not good enough to play on a team that has absolutely no bench in a Sixers game when they're second half of a back-to-back and they're missing a bunch of dudes. And Devin Carter can't get 3 minutes, but I'm supposed to believe he's untouchable. I'm supposed to believe can't move him for Cam Johnson. And I'm not saying I want to move him. I'm saying if you can't play him, what are we doing? What are we actually doing? Jordan McLaughlin, look, we sat with Jordan McLaughlin during media day. He's a great guy. I don't know if I want to call it a miss, because if you hit on him, it would have been closer to found money than not. But that brother hasn't taken off his warm-ups, I don't know, since the last time the Kings blew out somebody. Ridiculous. Oh, but I know why. Because they have 18 guards. So, Jordan, we don't really need you. We needed to bring you in, even though we drafted a guard, but we don't need to play you. Justin Edwards for the Philadelphia 76ers had 9 points. Kelly Oubre had 15 points, blowing kisses to the crowd. Gershon Yabusele only had 9. He actually had a quiet game. And he only had 6 rebounds. He dealt with foul trouble. You let Eric Gordon get 14 on your head. You let Tyrese out of all the and look, the zone, I get it. They're mixing things up. But now we're just not blitzing dudes. So you're telling me in a game, how in the world, how in God's name does a team missing Paul George and Joel Embiid with only Tyrese Maxey, how do you allow Tyrese Maxey? Oh my gosh, do we need a nickname for the Kings defense? Oh my goodness. Look at the defensive guard rotation. How do you let Tyrese Maxey get 30 points when there's nobody else to guard? There's nobody else to guard. I didn't see one blitz. Kyle, did you see a blitz last night?
No blitzing.
No blitzing for Tyrese Maxey. You let him get 30. This is the most classic anybody but him game I've ever come across. How do you let Tyrese Maxey get 30 points? You trusted Keon a little too much, and he got cooked. And there's nobody else. Devin Carter is not there yet. That's why you're only playing him less than 3 minutes. He is untouchable, though, so don't forget that. Reggie Jackson, 9 points. Reggie Jackson, I mean, he looks like he lost a step. And he's still getting buckets.
That's NBA champion Reggie Jackson.
That's right.
To you.
That's right. I like to think my game kind of resembled old Reggie Jackson back in the day.
Which one, Pistons or Thunder?
Pistons for sure. Kyle Lowry, 13 points. You let Kyle Lowry play 25. You lost a game where Kyle Lowry played 25 minutes. He was a plus 27. Adam Bona, 5 points. 7 rebounds. Ricky Council, who I was not familiar. That dude is athletic as heck.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous.
He's great, man. He doesn't quite qualify for the Found Money Award, but he's great.
Well, this whole team is Found Money right now.
There was some guy named Pete Nance I saw in the game.
Pete Nance got 54 seconds, put up the same stat line as Devin Carter and Alex Len.
Pete Nance.
So there you have it.
Pete Nance, NBA basketball player or local city council member?
By the way, no Andre Drummond. I mentioned no Caleb Martin as well. You lost by more than 10. You lost by 13. This team, and it's not obviously not talent. And I don't even necessarily want to say it's lack of effort. They're just everything that we built for the last month is done. It's done.
24 points in the final 18 minutes of the game scored by the Sacramento Kings. In the last 18 minutes of the game, they shot 25% from the field. At one point, they went 10 minutes by scoring only 9 points. In clutch time, they got outscored 13-6 by a lineup of Yabusele, Ricky Council, Kyle Lowry, Tyrese Maxey, and Kelly Oubre.
I do not think that you can wait until the trade deadline. If you are, either you say, hey, De'Aaron, we're not moving you, and you can keep it in-house if you're able to do that and not let it get out like Gossip Girl, or you move him. But, I mean, there's just no point in playing these games the way they looked with nobody knowing what is happening with De'Aaron Fox. I think they need to make a decision before the trade deadline, which might sound unrealistic because what if you get a really good offer? But you have 3 more games. And the 3 more games, you go to Thunder, you go to the Timberwolves who are red hot, and you get a newly healthy Magic team. That's what it is. All right, we got to get to a break. I'm way over on time. On the other side, let's hear from the newest from Shams. He spoke with NBA Countdown before the Wednesday primetime games kicked off. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
The Sacramento Kings play here.
He's got the triple. Sacramento takes the lead.
Get your Kings fix all season long right here on your home of the Sacramento Kings. Sacktown Sports at sacktownsports.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your really expensive limited edition sneakers and your new suit for your cousin's wedding. Except you never actually bought the suit because you can't stop buying sneakers. So you show up to the wedding looking like you're going grocery shopping. But hey, at least your sneakers will look good in the pictures, until you're cropped out of every last one of them. So go ahead and get Progressive, so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
When you take the time to shop at Folsom Lake Honda, there's one thing you'll always find. Happy people ready to serve you. As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too. Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
People, please, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be
Reeling in the refund.
limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money because you're in charge. Today, you're going to pay down your credit card bill. But you decide when you'll pay it. Before the due date, so those interest charges don't get you. But you decide if you pay it in full. But you definitely should, because again, interest charges. With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. Then you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Hey, Sacramento, it's time to party. Join us for the ultimate big game watch party at Mix Downtown, hosted by Sacktown Sports on Sunday, February 9th. Feast on Mix's all-you-can-eat taco and nacho bar and big game bites while watching the biggest football game of the year. Catch all the action on Mix's large projection screens and HD TVs. Doors open at 2 p.m. Kickoff is at 3. Mix Downtown, located at 16th and L Streets in Sacramento. It's 21 and over, so bring your crew and let's make it a game day to remember. For details, visit mixdowntown.net. It's time to turn up the volume on live entertainment. Check out the Sacktown Sports live events calendar for the hottest events and shows coming your way. On February 18th, catch the incredible Miles Kennedy at Ace of Spades. His powerful vocals and raw talent will leave you speechless. Then gear up for an adrenaline-packed night with the Thunder Showdown boxing event at Thunder Valley on March 8th. Who will come out on top in the ring? Be there to find out. On March 9th, don't miss the legendary John Oates live at the Crest Theater, bringing you iconic hits and timeless melodies. If you're a country fan, mark your calendar for March 16th, when Alexandra Kay brings her heartfelt songs to Ace of Spades for an unforgettable evening. And on March 29th, get ready to rock the night away as Papa Roach and Rise Against take over the Golden One Center with an electrifying performance. Don't miss these amazing events. For more information and your chance to win tickets, head to sacktownsports.com. Sacktown Sports, your front row seat to the Sacramento area's best live entertainment.
The only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
Love the music choice, Kyle. It is a throwback Thursday. You know, last week when the vibes were right, I'm sitting here spending my time adding in all the different songs that I want to play for Throwback Thursday. I haven't put in a song all week. Which
means DJ LED is bringing the bops to the show.
That's right. It is all Kyle. I can't even wrap my brain around the
And
the return music. So y'all can help out too. 916-339-1140 in Sack Chat.
Listeners have been throwing out some ideas this week, so I can't take full credit. The recommendations are always open. Sack Chat, text line, send in your song requests.
I had a text that I just responded to, and they said, Allen, I'm not sure you could be an inspirational speaker as a side job. You're being too blunt and harsh about the Kings, but I love it. Well, thank you, 916. Y'all know I can get motivational and inspirational when need be, but I can't do it right now. I also can't fake it. I can't fake it, man. And it was embarrassing last night. Last night, I'll say this, was embarrassing, but I'm not sure that I'm embarrassed by the players. It was just the whole thing. Right? The whole thing. And, in the first segment, I talked a little bit about some fans being upset that NBC Sports California put up a poll. What would you do with De'Aaron Fox? And they're trying their best. It's probably an intern or somebody like that. They're trying their best to, just keep it out in the open. Like I said, I think what's most interesting is this stuff isn't being hidden. There's only one entity that we are not hearing from. De'Aaron Fox spoke with Chris Biederman, the Sacramento Bee. You have DeMar DeRozan as well. So, that is what you have here. And speaking of, we're going to get to that sound from Shams, but I really want to get to these comments from De'Aaron, who spoke with Chris Biederman again. And this is what De'Aaron had to say. Here's a quote. In this business, you have to put those emotions aside, Fox said. Obviously, everybody, especially who were here during that long postseason drought and was on this team when we made the playoffs, obviously that means a lot to everybody. But in the business of basketball, you can't have too much emotion. Biederman goes on to write, Fox said he's had conversations with his teammates regarding what could be coming over the next week before the deadline. Here's a quote. Those things have come up. It's natural. We're all human. We talked about it going into shoot around. There's a business side of basketball. Everybody knows that. Besides the rookies here, everybody's been through trade deadlines and things like that, but everybody in here is professional. Biederman goes on to write, Fox on Wednesday confirmed he has a preferred destination and pointed to the reports from Tuesday that said he was interested in joining the Spurs, where he could pair with Victor Wembanyama. Fox is from Houston and recently constructed an off-season home there. So everybody is talking about it.
I know that sounded a little confusing. By there, they mean San Antonio. They're just referencing he is from Houston,
right?
And he has an off-season home in San Antonio. They're just referencing Houston is close, but his house is in San Antonio.
Let me put it to you like this. I got a joke here. When it comes to whether this thing is cooked or not, it's not necessarily how my family likes steaks, which is well done, but it's closer to medium well than it is medium rare.
Okay, so your family likes hamburgers.
Hey, make sure that make sure there's no pink in that. Make sure there's no pink in that.
That's not a steak. That's a hamburger.
It's not there yet. Okay, me personally, I'll go medium to medium well, depending on what I'm eating. It's not there yet. If we're looking at it as medium, I would say it is for sure closer to medium well than medium rare, without a doubt.
On a scale of 1 being a hamburger and 10 being I want that cow to moo, I'm probably about a 7.5.
Okay.
Give me a specific medium rare.
There you go. So that is how I'm feeling about this. So they go into the game. De'Aaron says they talk at shoot around, before shoot around, and hey, this is what it is. I really am not sure what is said in that situation, because what I find interesting and what I find funny is De'Aaron being in that locker room after Rich Paul says, yeah, this team's not good enough. And De'Aaron himself going on the Draymond pod. Yeah, I want to compete. We need a better roster. So who are you talking about, De'Aaron? All right. And we're going to get into this in more detail, but Keegan is your uncle, all right? Uncle Keegs. Okay. You recruited DeMar DeRozan. All right. Malik Monk is your boy. Again, I don't know if he's tier 1 boy, but He is somebody that you have a relationship with prior to the Kings. I don't know if they're fully besties as everybody tries to put out. So that's 3 right there, right? So is it really the bench that you're that upset about, or is there an obvious answer that we're all ignoring? And it might not even make any sense, but there is something that nobody is talking about as it pertains to the other star, maybe the 1A to De'Aaron's 1B or the 1B to De'Aaron's 1A, because I'm looking around thinking, it's the bench. The bench is that bad. It is bad, don't get me wrong, but hey, is that all he's referencing as he continues to say the same thing? We need Kevin Huerter out of here. And again, when you're going to a bench, is John Collins going to change? What is going to change De'Aaron's mind? Is there something else going on here? Is there someone or something else going on here that we're missing? Let's get to Shams and what he played or what he said in the NBA countdown. Here it is.
The Kings have received dozens of phone calls and offers in the last 30 hours since I reported this. But here's the most important thing to know. I'm told the San Antonio Spurs, according to league sources, are De'Aaron Fox's targeted preferred destination. And San Antonio is among the interested teams in Fox. This is someone that has a massive market right now. He's jumped to the top of the trade landscape ahead of the February 6th NBA trade deadline. He's in the prime of his career. He's a max contract player. These types of deals don't happen overnight, though. So the Kings are going to have to balance potentially finding the best offer for him right now when he has a year and a half left before his deal expires, or the inevitability of a trade in the offseason. And if you're an interested team like the Spurs are, De'Aaron Fox might also have that same interest in you. Here is your chance to potentially get a game changer.
You know, there's been a lot of back and forth and that was Shams on NBA Countdown. There's been a lot of back and forth with the Spurs, right? And inside, now you click on one thing and now if you go on my timeline right now, because I was beefing with the Rockets fans about a week ago, you would think I'm a Rockets fan and now I'm a Spurs fan because I clicked on one thing with the Spurs. But as I'm seeing all this, there are a lot of people that are saying, "Oh, they can't move Devin Vassell or Stephon Castle. They can't move any of these guys." And then there are other fans, media members that are a little bit more realistic. One thing that I have seen is the idea that the Spurs are going to wait for free agency is a pipe dream. De'Aaron is not going to make it to free agency, and there are a lot of people that believe that whoever gets De'Aaron, whoever he okays to trade for him, he will probably stay there, right? That's a belief that some Spurs fans are worrying about, essentially saying, we don't think De'Aaron's going to make it to free agency unless the Kings trade for him or trade him in the offseason, right? Or the trade deadline, and he goes to the Magic and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And then, okay, hey, now I'm going to go into free agency and the Spurs can get him there. You're just taking a big risk there.
Yeah, and that's getting into the crux of what player empowerment actually looks like. People throw out that term all the time about, like, what does player empowerment mean? It means no one wants to actually get to free agency. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to do now is bypass that by asking De'Aaron, where do you want to go, and work with those teams to create a mutually beneficial situation, right? Mm-hmm. They could send him somewhere in spite, like Portland did with Damian Lillard, but ultimately that hasn't worked out great for anyone involved. The player empowerment can be mutually beneficial, and that's what we're talking about here with whether he goes to Orlando or whether he goes to San Antonio or Houston or Miami. Mm-hmm. They can send him to the wilderness all they want, but then ultimately it doesn't hurt him that much because he'll hit free agency. It might hurt him in the pocketbook a little bit, but he's still going to get his free agency. He's still going to end up where he wants to go. And so if you're the Kings, working with him to figure out where he'd be happy with or where his family might be happy with is a good way to go about it.
916-339-1140. Call lines are open. TC, we'll get to you on the other side. More calls coming in. What is going on with De'Aaron Fox, we hear from Sam Amick, who was on the morning show. And is this thing cooked? If you hear what Sam Amick has to say, yeah, it's real close to how my parents and my family likes their steaks. Well done. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Saturday night, Kings and Thunder. Team night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip off at 5.
The Kings play here on Sacktown Sports.
Sacktown Sports, 1140.
Welcome to TGL, presented by SoFi, golf's newest league, live on ESPN and ESPN Plus. It's 2 hours of hammer-dropping, overtime forcing, playoffs on the line golf, Tiger, Rory, and more of the best from the PGA Tour, split into 16. Learn more at TGLGolf.com. Tune in every week for TGL matches. Keep up, it's golf.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Hey, movie fans, the Esquire IMAX Theater in downtown Sacramento is now serving adult beverages. This week, get ready for Companion, the IMAX experience.
There have been 2 moments in my life when I was happiest. The first was the day I met Josh, and the second, the day I killed him.
The best place to experience this psychological thriller is on the Esquire IMAX 6-story screen with heart-pounding audio that will keep you on the edge of your seat.
The days of you controlling me are over.
Get your tickets early at IMAX.com/Sacramento. And don't miss Companion, playing this week at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
This year, resolve to save on the all-new 2025 Silverado at Maida Chevy. With $8,000 off MSRP after rebates on over 30 new half-ton Silverado LT and RST after rebates. And Maida Chevy has one of the largest selections of new 2025 Silverados in the Sacramento area. $8,000 off new 2025 Silverado at Maida Chevy. Now that's big, huge. See them all at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Not available with special financing, leases, and other offers. Based on 2011 or newer Chevrolet.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, it's Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, and the regular season is over, but the high hand bonuses, those are not. $500 per primetime football game, whether it's weekend, Monday night, whatever it may be. And those bonuses available until the season ends, including the big game on February 9th. Capital Casino, 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com. Please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
This 49er injury report is brought to you by Jeremy Winter, attorney at law. He cares because he's been there. After an injury-plagued 2024 season, which ended 6-11 and out of the playoffs, the 49ers will focus on getting healthy in the offseason. Running backs Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mason, and Isaac Guerrero all suffered season-ending injuries. Left tackle Trent Williams' ankle kept him out late in the year, and Brock Purdy missed the season finale with a hurt elbow. 49ers hope to enter 2025 with a full roster back intact.
Serious accident. You deserve the law offices of Jeremy Winter. 877-637-3237. Jeremy lost his mother in a car accident and knows firsthand the pain caused by tragedy. That is why he became an attorney to fight for others who are going through a tragedy. If you've been seriously injured in an accident, you deserve more. You deserve better. You deserve Jeremy Winter. 877-637-3237.
The only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
Allen Stiles. Sacktown Sports, taking up to 2 p.m. I just saw a report, Kyle and I just saw a report from Brett Siegel for John Collins. So we are working on trying to get him on as soon as possible. 916-339-1140. Let's get to TC. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, TC? What you got for us?
What's up, big dog? Hey, I know, you know what? I'm not even going to say I'm going to come in hot, but I am coming in hot, bro. It's like we're not going to fall off the face of the earth, bro, if we trade this dude away for that, you know, for that trade package with the Spurs, bro, with them first-round picks, like with both Atlanta, with the 2025 this year, and then their 2027, and then and then that pick swap back, or we can get Charlotte 2025 and have 2 first-round picks this year, like, with Monk running the show, like, come on, bro. But Keon, we not gonna fall off the earth, y'all. Like, I know it hurts. I love Fox, bro, and all. Like, but if you want to go, bro, we got to do what's best for the team. We got to do what's best for the players, and not just the team, but the players, and moving forward and staying focused on this playoff run, trying to get a championship. Like, I get it. We worried about him, but if he want to go, bro, we got to let him go and move on, bro, and keep it trucking with this team we got going on. We don't have time to be sitting back crying about we had to let go of Fox, or like, we don't have time for that, bro. Period.
Thanks for the call, TC. Yeah, look, I don't know, and that's what we're going to get. We're going to get to the Sam Amick sound. As everybody knows right now, a lot is going on. I just got confirmation. Brett Siegel, who just dropped an article with some, I wouldn't call it breaking news, but it's on the way to breaking news. The Kings and Jazz are in serious talks with John Collins, and Brett Siegel is going to join us in less than 15 minutes. Just confirmed that we're going to call him. But Kyle, you have the article that Brett dropped.
Yeah, Brett had a story over at Clutch Points. You can find it on his X account and various websites. But yeah, basically there it describes the Kings. Here, I'll just read it verbatim here, the important parts. The Kings have been browsing the trade market for front court help over the last several weeks. Collins, who the Jazz have made available, is an athletic front court option. Even before Brown was fired, Mike Brown, by the Kings on December 22nd, 7th, this organization had been searching for high-level upgrades with the mindset of leveraging Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles. These two players combined to make $24.8 million this season, creating a wide margin for the Kings to search in the trade market. Collins emerged as their top trade target in recent weeks. They had extensive trade conversations about Collins and came up with the framework for a potential deal ahead of the deadline. Mark Stein also reported interest in Collins. Along with packaging Huerter and Lyles, a protected first-round pick and a second-round pick would have been going to the Jazz, sources say. Utah had been seeking a first-round pick for Collins and was willing to accept such from Sacramento with little protection on it. All that was needed was a formal agreement from both sides, but ultimately conversations were put on hold in the final steps of negotiating. It is unknown at this time if the two teams will once again revisit talks on Collins ahead of the Thursday deadline.
So this is more about what happened and who was probably made known that they were on the way out, which would be Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles. And then we don't know how it fell through or why it stalled.
All it said all that was needed was a formal agreement from both sides, but ultimately conversations were put on hold in the final steps of negotiating. I mean, we knew that they weren't talking on Cam Johnson for weeks, so it makes sense that Collins was the target that they were seeking. And you know, Dave said yesterday that they had told players that there was going to be a trade, and then the trade just didn't happen. And, you know, doesn't put two and two together to point to the fact that it looks like it was probably this trade that Siegel is outlining, which is John Collins for Kevin Huerter, Trey Lyles, a first-round pick, and a second-round pick.
Interesting. So as of right now, we don't know if they have picked back up those conversations.
Well, I think a lot's changed in the last 36 hours to make it difficult to come back and say, hey, let's trade a first rounder and a future second for John Collins, who won't be on the team past 2026 because that's when his contract expires.
Well, and a lot of people are going at the front office, but wouldn't you want to believe, not to say this is what happened, but wouldn't you want to believe if the front office of the Kings, and I get it, a lot of people don't trust them and their reputation, but if the front office of the Kings went as far as to tell Trey Lyles and to tell Kevin Huerter they're on their way out, that feels like it was the Jazz that got the cold feet. I would hope, right? I would hope.
I don't know if I feel comfortable saying either way based on the information that we have. Maybe it was the Jazz getting cold feet on making that deal. Maybe it was the Kings thinking that Cam Johnson offer would come back to the table. I don't know, but they were apparently at the final stages of confirming a trade. I mean, it's what we thought. I mean, the question mark was, would it be a first-round pick? Would it be a couple seconds? It sounds like there were pick protections on the first rounder, but maybe Sacramento was ready to make that move. And yeah, I guess that explains some of the context behind the conversations that were being had over the last couple days.
Yeah, and let's get to that Amick sound, because we're going to have Brett Siegel join us on the other side. Let's see what Sam Amick had to say about De'Aaron in that situation.
No, I don't think they can walk it back. Again, like the phrases put to me for a long time now, it's the writing is all on the wall. It's the general idea that like people can be mad about it all they want. He, I don't know what number you put on it. He sees himself as I'm just going to like a top 15 player, and wants to get himself to a situation, where that kind of what he brings to the table can be elevated. I mean, early this season, and I know this is a simplistic way of framing it, but like he was legitimately, boasting this similar, if not the same stat line as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And doing it on both ends. And the difference was you did not have a loaded, deep, versatile, balanced roster in Sacramento like Oklahoma City does. So, no, I don't see a walk back. I see somebody who has decided, and it's not really with any malice. I think, you talk to people about De'Aaron. I think I've said this on the show before. It's like somebody used the word gentleman, that he's, he's never going to walk into Monty McNair's office and flip the table over. He's not going to beat Jimmy Butler, but he obviously, is kind of standing on the way he sees this situation.
And y'all thought that I was killing the mood. I mean, I love Sam Amick. He's reporting the truth, and he's reporting how he's viewing all this. But that sounds more like my dad's well-done steak. And somebody asks, do your family put A1 on it? No, but they do cook them things. That sounds like it's well done, Kyle. Hockey puck. That's what it sounds like.
Sure. I mean, the relationship is gone at this point. If it's gotten to the point of they're already fielding trade offers, then, I mean, it goes back to what we said a couple days ago, that the Sacramento Kings and De'Aaron Fox, the chance of an extension was never there. We're just kind of speeding along the process here, which doesn't mean he's going to get traded. It just means the Kings had 9 extra days to put a trade together. And I think there's still a very real possibility he doesn't get traded, but ultimately this is going to end with, by training camp of next year, De'Aaron Fox won't be on the team.
Well, and that's the worst option, right? In this regard, he doesn't get traded, but it's just, hey, we're staying together for the kids, right? He doesn't get traded, so we're going to play out the rest of the season. Nobody is really motivated because his mind's made up, and it's basically what we saw last night for the rest of the season. So if it's actually done, and I trust Sam Amick, if it's actually done the way that Sam Amick thinks it's done, then you do have to move him, which does affect leverage, and which is why there's some Spurs fans saying, we don't have to give up Castle. We might not have to give up Vassell because you don't have a choice, right? So that's where we're at. And the 530 is saying his dad puts ketchup on his steak. No, he doesn't. All right. It's just overcooked, but it's very well flavored. All right. Brett Siegel, who just dropped the John Collins article, joins us in about 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Brett Siegel is going to break down everything that Kyle elaborated and spoke to in his article of clutch points. What happened with John Collins, and could something still happen? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Saturday night, Kings and Thunder. Game night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip off at 5.
The Kings play here on Sacktown Sports.
Sacktown Sports, 1140.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you tried online gaming. Who knew 12-year-old boys could be so mean? And where did they learn to swear like that? 2 hours of losing to these underage trash talkers, and you're starting to question if maybe you really should stick to pickleball and other boomer stuff. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Wesley Financial Group is not an offer. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-292-7788. 800-292-7788.
How about you try something new this year? A resolution to enjoy what you drive. And the only way to guarantee that is at Sacramento Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. And it's not just because they're centrally located right across from Hagan Oaks Golf Course or their huge selection of new and pre-owned vehicles. It's because their general manager, Chuck Dean, and his team, they really take the time to get to know you and your goals. To them, it's not just about a car sale. It's about building generational relationships with someone you can trust. That's why people come from all over, Folsom, Elk Grove, Woodland, Roseville, because Sacramento Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, it's where a handshake still means something.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-990-1551. That's 800-990-1551.
Hey, Ma, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that Black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeWise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Hi, this is Greg Papa. Disasters hit every day. If your home, business, or building has suffered from any disaster, SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to and letting your focus be on what's most important, your family or your business. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884. Hey, Sacramento, it's time to party. Join us for the ultimate big game watch party at Mix Downtown, hosted by Sacktown Sports on Sunday, February 9th. Feast on Mix's all-you-can-eat taco and nacho bar and big game bites while watching the biggest football game of the year. Catch all the action on Mix's large projection screens and HD TVs. Doors open at 2 p.m. Kickoff is at 3. Mix Downtown, located at 16th and L Streets in Sacramento. It's 21 and over, so bring your crew and let's make it a game day to remember. For details, visit mixdowntown.net.
When you take the time to shop at Folsom Lake Honda, there's one thing you'll always find. Happy people ready to serve you. As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too. Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
KHTK HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Hammer time thrown down by the league.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports, 1140. Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
This is how we get down. As soon as Brett Siegel pressed submit on his article and posted it to his social media pages, we immediately had to get him on the show, and that's who we are joined by right now. Brett Siegel, national NBA insider and reporter for Clutch Points, talking about John Collins, De'Aaron Fox, the whole mess out here in Sacramento. Brett, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely, Allen. I appreciate you having me on.
Brett, let's start here. I read your article during the break, but for everybody just tuning in, listening, who haven't got a chance to check it out yet, and be sure to do that on clutchpoints.com. What are you hearing about John Collins and what I'm calling the trade that never was but still could be? What are you hearing?
Well, there's a lot to unpack with the Sacramento Kings right now, and it kind of all starts with the beginning of the year where nothing really went the way that ownership and management wanted with getting DeMar DeRozan and having this team be a top 4, top 5 team in the West. That didn't pan out. They ultimately fire Mike Brown. De'Aaron Fox starts receiving a lot of hate for this, and a lot of people pointing fingers at him, saying that it was his fault when he didn't have any involvement with it. And then obviously you have the recent rumors of De'Aaron Fox coming out about Rich Paul pushing for a trade from Sacramento. And now there's all this talk of, well, there was a trade that could have gone through over the last few days of John Collins could have been with the Sacramento Kings. The two sides talked at length about a potential deal, trying to find common ground here. Obviously, the two pieces that would have been going to the Jazz were Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles, the two names that have been on the trade block for the Kings for months now. And we've been doing extensive reporting of that at Clutch Points. I know Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype has done a fantastic job as well, highlighting about what the Kings have been looking for in trade packages for Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles. And this was the package that they really looked at. It was John Collins, the guy that they wanted to add to their front court to add a little bit more rebounding help, a little more athleticism, and of course, some extra scoring that they aren't necessarily getting from Keegan Murray out at that power forward position. John Collins, a 6'9" forward. He's having a career year shooting-wise with the Utah Jazz, shooting north of 40%. But ultimately, these trade talks fell through, and a lot of it has to do with these recent rumors coming out about De'Aaron Fox and the Sacramento Kings front office having a lot of cold feet when it comes to making deals.
Because that's what I was going to ask next, Brett. From what you're hearing, and we're talking to Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, who covers the NBA. From what you're hearing, and in your article you say they were ultimately put on hold, not sure if these talks will heat back up. From what you're hearing, why did they get put on hold? Is that something that was more so on the Jazz side or more so on the Kings side?
There were a couple of discrepancies of the exact protections on the first-round pick that would have been going to the Jazz. I wish I had the year that I could tell you of when this pick was going to be. But ultimately, that wasn't relayed to me. I want to believe that it was the 2028 first-round pick that they were talking about, simply because of the current protections that the Sacramento Kings have on a pick that's owned by, I believe it's the Atlanta Hawks right now, where it's protected this year, and then those protections could convey to 2026. So I believe it was the 2028 pick that they were talking about here. Again, don't quote me on that. But in terms of the protections that were being discussed, obviously the Jazz are going to want to maximize value. They've been looking to maximize value on a guy like John Collins, and we know how tough Danny Ainge can be in trade talks with the Utah Jazz, not just when it comes to the Sacramento Kings, but any team that's looking to acquire some of his players. Those protections could have been worked out, and I'm told that they were essentially agreed upon of what the Kings would be trading out, and that's why they were giving that extra second-round pick in exchange for Collins. But the holdup obviously is the Sacramento Kings. Is this a trade that they actually want to make? They came up with the framework. They approached the Jazz for it. The Jazz came back with the counteroffer. It took a little bit of negotiating, but they had the framework of a deal put together. And then obviously you have the holdup with Sacramento not necessarily wanting to make this deal at this time, given the extensive interest that they are receiving in De'Aaron Fox And based on my understanding of the situation and based on what I've been told, obviously others have done a lot of reporting on this. I know Sam Amick of The Athletic has done a fantastic job of covering De'Aaron Fox situation inside and out there. But they've been receiving a lot of calls on De'Aaron Fox lately. And from my understanding, the Kings are open to hearing these talks. And if they get the right deal, I would expect them to pull the trigger.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, Brett, there was already a little bit of cold feet with the deal. The Kings thought it was a little bit much. And while this is happening, then the De'Aaron Fox thing happens while the Jazz and Kings are trying to figure out something as well. Is that timeline correct?
Yes, it's a little bit of both. And also the De'Aaron Fox stuff goes back weeks. It's just coming out now because of this whole Clutch Sports and Rich Paul reaching out to the media to get this story out there and kind of put pressure on the Kings, stemming from his meeting with Kings ownership and Kings management several weeks ago before Brown was fired. So it's kind of like you look at it where the match lit the spark, and it's just kind of one of those things where you look at a cartoon, an old school cartoon, where the TNT's already, the fuse is already set, and it's just kind of going down to the end, and you're just waiting for that explosion to happen. That's kind of where we're at with the Sacramento Kings. The fuse has been lit to this point.
And I have questions written down for you, Brett, but now that we're going in this direction with the trade deadline a week away, is there a world where the Kings, and I was going to ask you about Cam Johnson, but whether it's Cam Johnson and John Collins, Sam Amick was on the morning show, and he says, essentially the toothpaste is out of the tube. You can't put it back in. So are we looking at a world where De'Aaron Fox gets moved that is more likely than the Kings trying to get a John Collins and Cam Johnson and say, hey, De'Aaron, we still got a shot at this. What's your feeling on that?
I wish I could give you a firm answer on that, because that's kind of the question that we're all asking around too, to try to get firm answers from the Sacramento Kings is, are you going to go out and be buyers, or are you going to be ultimate sellers? And then you have DeMar DeRozan earlier today on one of those FanDuel shows talking about how he came to Sacramento to try to win. And if that's not the case, he could potentially be moved too. So there's a lot of moving pieces here to talk about with the Kings. And obviously when you look at Cam Johnson, that's another guy that they held conversations with and extensive trade conversations with the Nets trying to get a deal done. Obviously, again, it comes back to the Kings not wanting to give up that kind of value for Cam Johnson that the Nets are seeking. They go and look elsewhere. John Collins is a guy that they can get on a much less price than Cam Johnson, I'll say. But again, it comes down to them having cold feet and not actually wanting to make that deal, facing the uncertainty of, well, does De'Aaron Fox actually want to be traded? Is there a trade that we can actually make over the course of the next week that doesn't blow up this team, and we can still remain competitive after trading De'Aaron Fox? So there's a lot of moving pieces here. There's a lot of scenarios that Monty McNair and his front office are currently going through. And ultimately, it does spiral back to the fact that there's several teams interested in trading for De'Aaron Fox right now, even if he was to leave in 2026 and go to his desired landing spot, which is the San Antonio Spurs.
Talking to Brett Siegel of Clutch Points. Great stuff so far, Brett. Just as far as your opinion is concerned and what you're hearing, I know that Rasay Fox, De'Aaron's wife, has kind of gone back and forth with people on social media saying they never requested a trade. Do you feel like De'Aaron Fox actually wants out and they're doing the semantics Clutch playbook type thing? Or do you think that it truly, if when they had that meeting, let's say it takes two to tango, but the Lakers did get Dorian Finney-Smith not too long after that. They have that meeting in December. The next week, the Kings go out and get John Collins, Cam Johnson. Do you think that could have kept De'Aaron? Or, some people are saying the writing was already on the wall and this was De'Aaron. I had a source tell me that they felt that this was De'Aaron letting them down easy.
Yes and no. I think that obviously after that week of the meetings with the Kings front office and ownership, if they had gone out and made a move for, let's say, John Collins or Cam Johnson, that certainly changes thinking here. But I don't necessarily know if it's fully on De'Aaron Fox. I don't know if we can fully say, oh, well, he's the one wanting out. He's the player that we're all pointing the fingers to. I think that it goes right back to his management team and Rich Paul, because this isn't a new move for him. We saw this in the offseason with the Cleveland Cavaliers and Darius Garland. He put pressure on the Cavs front office to kind of go out and make a move and say,
hey, we want Garland to not only be paid, which he is, but we also want you to show trust in him. We want him to be a focal point, and we want the Cavaliers to be a great team. Obviously, we're seeing the Cavs are a great team this season, and they're looking like championship contenders in the East. And Darius Garland, he's the guy that didn't really want to trade from the Cavs, but would he have entertained it? Sure. And I think that's kind of where we're at with De'Aaron Fox. Does he 100% want to be traded from the Kings like Jimmy Butler wants to be traded from the Heat? No, I wouldn't definitively say that. I would say that if there is a path to De'Aaron Fox remaining with the Kings, it's the front office showing him that they're devoted to winning. They're going to sacrifice the assets needed to make this team as good as they can be with Fox, with Sabonis, with Monk, and with DeMar DeRozan. Obviously, there's a holdup right now. We'll see what direction they go ahead of the trade deadline, and that will 100% influence Fox's decision here of whether or not he truly wants out. But if you're asking a straight-up question of, is De'Aaron Fox the one pushing this, I would 100% say no.
Okay, Brett Siegel. Brett, thank you so much for joining us. That was great stuff, especially on short timing. So we appreciate you. Go check out that article. If you haven't seen it, it is on Brett's social media. Go follow him on X, on Twitter, and check out what he has broken down about the John Collins deal. The trade that never was but could still be, clutchpoints.com. Brett, thank you as always. We will talk to you again soon.
Absolutely, Allen. You have a good one. You have a great weekend coming up.
Same to you, Brett. Great stuff there from Brett Siegel. We turned that around in about 5 minutes as soon as he dropped it. Thank you, Kyle, for letting me know that came out. I saw that, and we got Brett on. Awesome stuff there. I mean, my takeaways are this, and I have them written down here. So as that timeline goes, they're in the middle of the deal. Basically, the spark notes of it is the Kings don't feel confident enough to overpay or slightly overpay to make the current team better because they ultimately aren't that confident that De'Aaron's going to stay. That's what I took from it. Now, how they're doing stuff, if they're the ones that got cold feet and they're the ones that also told Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles, hey, you're probably out the door, that's trash, right? If they're the ones that did that, then that is absolute trash. But what, from a logistical standpoint, they are saying, and we can argue with this or not, and this is what we've said from the beginning, are you willing to pick De'Aaron over some future assets? And they are saying no, but their argument is because we don't know if John Collins is enough to keep De'Aaron. So we don't want to overpay for Cam Johnson or John Collins to make a run, maybe, and then De'Aaron still leaves and we lose those assets.
Or they wanted to keep negotiating with the Jazz and the whole thing kind of got blown up. Either way, if that is the deal that they told players was going to happen, that seems like a misstep on them if they're the ones that had cold feet with the situation or wanted to negotiate further or see if the Jazz would come down on their price maybe just a little bit. I thought it was interesting that Brett said it was potentially the 2028 draft pick for the Sacramento Kings, which would make it so that they could still make other trades with draft pick protections down the line. It's just, all of it was very interesting to know what just had been going on in the week leading up to what we now know was the whole situation changing, because now they're all of a sudden fielding De'Aaron Fox trade calls instead of making an all-in move for a John Collins for, as Brett described it, a lightly protected first-round pick.
So I'm just right. And the other thing is, and Brett said, look, this all came out, but the De'Aaron Fox thing never necessarily went away. So those that were in the know, the Rich Pauls and everybody like that, it really came down to the Kings deciding to tell De'Aaron, hey, we are listening. Whether or not they had to tell De'Aaron, I think is a very big point of contention that a lot of fans and media members are talking about. But the actual listening to the deal, I don't think is a problem. It's how they handled it after the fact. Let's hear from DeMar DeRozan and that FanDuel podcast when we return. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
All guests and callers join us from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline,
Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
The following is a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
Thanks again to Brett Siegel of Clutch Points for hopping on short notice. You can check that out on the Sacktown Sports app, also on YouTube. If you missed it, it'll be cut as its own segment, or you could rewind. Just went down, so it'll take a little bit to get up, but it'll be up soon.
Also in an hour, podcast, Allen Stiles Show. Subscribe.
There you go. Favorite, subscribe, like, whatever you got to do. Thank you for joining us in hour number 2, taking you up to 2 p.m. Man, yeah, definitely. And this is the first person, Dennis from Stockton, actually putting it on Rich Paul. Right. And a lot of people, whether it's Brett and other newsbreakers that we've spoken to, they've done a lot of, I don't want to say fence sitting, but it's been a lot of yes and no. Those are the conversations, whether it's Evan Sidery, whether it's Brett Siegel. And the reality is that could be, that's probably it. That's how most things are in life. It's normally not just one side. But if you want to get your pitchforks out, you're entitled to do that. We'll give you your time, 916-329-1140. God, we can open back up the phone lines. I know there were people that were waiting, and I know people probably want to react to what Brett had to say. The 209 says, what I conclude from this is that the Kings brass have been doing their due diligence in seeking a trade for John Collins, and Rich Paul just messed up the deal by going public with De'Aaron's demands, which swung the leverage away from Sacramento. That's from Dennis in Stockton. That's possible, but I think a lot of people are saying that Wes is the one or somebody within the Kings organization. I don't know. I'm not going to speak. I'm speaking on rumors now because we don't know.
Yeah, I think the Rich Paul thing is by making the story public, it controls the narrative. And the important thing for an agent to do for their client is to control the narrative publicly. Because if I talked about when the news first broke, if the Sacramento Kings were going to try and negotiate it behind closed doors and try and not let this get out publicly, and then eventually they might come to a trade and it might not be the destination De'Aaron wanted. Well, now Rich Paul and the Kings can put it all out there and say, hey, everybody knows now. We know that we want to go to San Antonio. What are you guys going to do about it now? And I think I've seen too many of these situations following the NBA to blame the agent for situations like this, because the agent is doing what's best for the client, and making all of this public does kind of swing the leverage, not necessarily in their favor, but swings it away from the Sacramento Kings.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out when everybody has their pitchforks out, right? Because I agree. I don't know why the Kings would be the ones to put out this information. I don't know, right? I don't see a path where this helps the Kings for Shams to put out, unless they're just trying to field more calls, right? That's the only thing that I could, because Shams did say they've gotten a dozen calls, right? If you want to be upset with the front office because of the report where it says that they even told De'Aaron that they're even fielding calls, period, then that's your prerogative to say, hey, it's very simple. I've seen this a lot. It's very simple. Get De'Aaron help, get him John Collins, whatever. But that is why I continue to ask the question, when De'Aaron is as broad as what we've heard, and we don't know, maybe there were more details in the meeting. They don't necessarily, we all know that they need another wing, another power forward. We all know that. Is that enough for De'Aaron? I don't know that. Do you know that? Do the Kings know that? That's why I've tried to figure out, do we believe that De'Aaron is acting in good faith? Right? And I don't know either way, because I don't know exactly what is detailed, which has led me to the conversation of, well, who are you calling trash? Right? Who are you calling trash? Hey, Trey Lyles is not good enough. He shouldn't be our number 7, 8 guy. That's one thing, right? So is it realistic what De'Aaron we think is asking for? Because you need Kevin Huerter, you weren't supposed to need an upgrade from him. He's regressed. That's the problem. So you weren't supposed to need an upgrade from Kevin Huerter. Trey Lyles is, you re-sign him. He's playing a little bit too high in the rotation. He's more like an 8-9 guy. That's what I continue to say. What happened with Devin Carter, that already went down. So, and that probably ticked him off too, right? So maybe it's, get this guard out of here. We don't need guards. Not to mention, y'all just got Colby Jones and Mason Jones. The Joneses just chilling. The Kings do. Right? If you're going to have dudes chilling, why don't you have some tall dudes chilling? Just in case. You moved off Orlando Robinson. You didn't even let Jalen McDaniels wear the jersey, but you got guards everywhere. So that's why when Sam Amick says, I think the writing was on the wall, I think it is. I think it is and was, because there was too much for the Kings to try to fix. And then the Kings are basically in a position where it's, well, we know we jacked up whether we are admitting it or not. And we screwed that up. And now we're probably just going to lick our wounds. We're not going to try to do a fix-all with John Collins, overpay for John Collins. You're still having to run out Kevin Huerter and or Dougie McBuckets. You lose, and De'Aaron leaves, and you overpaid. So to me, this is the Kings essentially saying, we screwed up, and we're not going to try what is it, Kyle? The plexiglass fix? What is it when you put it on that commercial with the stickum that you put? And
flex glue?
We're not going to try the flex glue.
We're not going to try the flex tape, flex glue.
We're not going to try the flex tape. We're just going to wear it, and if De'Aaron goes, he goes.
That's a lot of damage.
It's a lot of damage.
But also, I feel like, and maybe this is where I don't understand it from the Kings' standpoint, at what point did that direction pivot? Because at some point, they started fielding calls on De'Aaron Fox, and I don't know at what point did that change? Because even if they say, hey, it's looking like we're not going to go, or Rich Paul says, you guys should probably start fielding calls sooner rather than later. If last week they were still building out the framework for John Collins trades, when did when did it go from we're building out framework to making the move for Fox? And
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. John Collins, I think they got word in some way that John Collins was not going to be enough to keep De'Aaron.
I guess, and maybe they thought they were paying, it was too rich for their blood. I know a couple weeks ago reporting was saying they didn't want to give up Trey Lyles into John Collins' trade, but they also didn't want to go into the luxury tax, so that was a whole part of the conversation. But they could have just said, we're still, even if we don't make a trade, we're still going to try and make it work with this team, because now the whole thing's been blown up, and it never had to be blown up if they just didn't field De'Aaron Fox calls in the first place or make him open for trade.
But and we got to get to a break, but based on how that initial meeting went, again, I'm not saying I quote unquote trust the front office, but I'm saying in their perspective, they thought it was worth it. Whether I agree with it, you agree with it, the callers, the listeners, we don't have to. I'm just saying we don't know. Clearly that meeting didn't go great. And we knew that from when they fired Mike Brown. It was obvious.
Yeah, for sure. Or the fact that they still went ahead and did that even after meeting with Rich Paul. I think you're spot on with that.
That was the first move they made. Oh, you want us to make a move? We're going to get rid of your coach. And now you got to take a picture with him at dinner. All right, we got to get to a break. We will get to that DeMar DeRozan sound. Bill, James, AC, Angus, we got you all on the other side, opening up the phone lines. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
The only place you'll find Kevin Herter is Sacktown Sports.
Herter's open, steps into three. He's got the triple.
Hey, Sacramento, it's Kevin Herter, and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
Coach Doug Christie here for your truck headquarters, Folsom Lake Ford. Shop all your favorite models on sale now, like America's best-selling F-Series. Check out a huge selection of Mavericks, F-150s, and Super Duty trucks, or tech-filled SUVs like Explorers and Expeditions. Plus a huge selection of Broncos and Bronco Sports. All in stock now at Folsom Lake Ford in the Folsom Auto Mall. Right now, buy any new Ford with zero down on approval of credit. Save big with low interest finance rates. And Folsom Lake Ford always pays top dollar for your trade. Hurry to Folsom Lake Ford in the Folsom Auto Mall, a 6-time Triple Crown winner for sales and service excellence. That's why they are my trusted dealer, and they should be yours too. For 35 years and counting, come down and take a test drive today. Tell them Coach Doug Christie sent you, or shop online at FolsomLakeFord.com.
The PGA Club Fitters at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio know that golf should be fun. They also know that players of all abilities will hit the ball farther and straighter, play better golf, shoot lower scores, and have more fun if they get fitted before they purchase golf clubs. Hagen Oaks delivers the same technology and major brands used to fit PGA and LPGA professionals. See how the game can be even more fun. Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
Sherry, what have you done to your hair?
What do you mean? Does it not look good?
It doesn't look good. It looks freaking amazing. I can't believe how thick and healthy it looks. Oh, I must know your secret.
No secret. It's hair volume from New Nordic.
Hair volume, huh? Well, it certainly lives up to its name. Your hair has never looked so thick. It is gorgeous.
I was so tired of having thin and brittle hair. Ugh, and the shedding. So I figured I'd give hair volume a try. Needless to say, I'm thrilled with the results. Hey, where are you going?
I'm going to pick up some hair volume right now. My reunion's next month, and I want my hair to look as good as yours.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural health products from New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Scandinavia. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or your local CVS. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy. Help your hair look full, voluminous, and beautiful again at newnordicusa.com or CVS.
Celebrate the new year in style with a new Honda from Stockton Honda. Whether you're shopping new or pre-owned, Stockton Honda has the selection and savings. With over 500 new Hondas in stock and ready to go, now is the time to save on your favorite Honda in person or online. CR-V, HR-V, Pilot, Accord, Civic, and Ridgeline. It's a new year with endless possibilities. Get the deals that make it easy to say yes at Stockton Honda.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
This 49er injury report is brought to you by Jeremy Winter, attorney at law. He cares because he's been there. After an injury-plagued 2024 season, which ended 6-11 and out of the playoffs, the 49ers will focus on getting healthy in the offseason. Running backs Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mason, and Isaac Guerrero all suffered season-ending injuries. Left tackle Trent Williams' ankle kept him out late in the year, and Brock Purdy missed the season finale with a hurt elbow. 49ers hope to enter 2025 with a full roster back intact.
Serious accident. You deserve the law offices of Jeremy Winter. 877-637-3237. Jeremy lost his mother in a car accident and knows firsthand the pain caused by tragedy. That is why he became an attorney to fight for others who are going through a tragedy. If you've been seriously injured in an accident, you deserve more. You deserve better. You deserve Jeremy Winter. 877-637-3237.
Fall head over boots in love with music this Valentine's Day. Get ready for Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, returning May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, and more. Enjoy food trucks, mechanical bulls, and line dancing. Tickets start at just $52. Visit CITPfest.com. Brought to you by Hyatt Vacation Club. Don't just say, I love you. Show it with music. Buy tickets now.
Yeah, it's tough because, looking at the landscape before I came here, those the guys I talked to was Fox, Domas, and Malik. Those are the core guys that, made it easy for me to make my decision to play here, and a key player, juggernaut and Fox, not knowing the future of that, it does make it tougher. I don't have much time left. I'm not trying to play another 5 years, to try to maximize the opportunity we have now to play with a great team. You never know when dominoes fall the wrong way, when it comes to organization, it makes it tough, so it's something that, we just got to weigh out and see.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. That was DeMar DeRozan on the Run It Back pod on FanDuel Sports.
That FanDuel show. Shout out to
Brett Siegel. And yeah, there are a lot of conversations being had from Brett's article. Someone else is saying that the Kings were suddenly working on a Cam Johnson trade. That's why the John Collins trade was on hold. And then after that fell through, that's when the Fox situation kind of blew up. So maybe all this stuff will continue to come out. And, everybody wants to be first these days. And I get it. And I'm the same way, but I'm not going to, spew a whole bunch of stuff until we have some more information. And Brett Siegel had a lot of good points there. Like I said, you can check that out on YouTube and the Sacktown Sports app. 916-339-1140. Going to get to these calls and texts. The DeMar DeRozan thing, it's just how this stuff has spiraled out of control has just been ridiculous. Very similar to Medusa at Six Flags, right? But back in the day, it was Marine World. So this is not what we had cooked up going into the season. 916-339-1140. Let's go to Bill. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Bill? What you got for us?
What's happening? Hey, I'm a first-time caller to your show. I listen a lot. You guys do a great job.
Thank you.
I think I don't understand why Fox wants to go to the Spurs because they have a losing record. They don't look like anything special. They haven't been in the playoffs in over 5 years. I just don't get it unless he wants to go play for Pop. But isn't Pop out on like a medical leave right now or something? I don't get that choice.
Yeah, and thanks for the call, Bill. And really what it is, well, number one, obviously we know Wembanyama is, a lot of people think he's going to be generational. He's heading in that direction in year 2. Number 2 would be what I believe is going to happen is the Stephon Castle thing. I don't know. I do think that there is a world where the deal gets done and they get to keep him. Now he's a 6'7", 6'6", 6'7" forward. So that's your forward position right there that fan base and that team is very high on, even though this is supposed to be a bad draft, but there's a bunch of untouchables in this bad draft.
But he can also play like ball. He can be a point forward or point guard.
Yes, and De'Aaron doesn't mind coming off ball. So that's 3 dudes right there, right? So that's 3 dudes right there that they feel very good about. That's not a big 3, but that's a big 2 and a great young player. From there, I would say, based on my understanding, to your point, Bill, they haven't been winning, so they ain't paying nobody. So going into this summer, if they get De'Aaron, that turns into a destination. I know they just have the Riverwalk, but De'Aaron doesn't necessarily want the bright lights. Shams immediately said he doesn't want to go to Los Angeles, to the Lakers. So I think this becomes a destination to where this team that you're looking at right now is not the team that it would be going into next season. They get De'Aaron, it would be full on. Let's, spend the money we have. We shipped out whoever, the Sohans and whoever, and we're going to get back some guys. And next season would be the next season with whatever big three they assemble. I guess at that point, what you're looking for, maybe a shooting guard or a small forward to pair with those two as a big three.
Yeah, and I think Bill brings up a good point that I mentioned yesterday, which is the San Antonio Spurs have not drafted well in the last, call it 5 years. Yeah, they got the number 1 pick that ended up becoming Wemby, but you look at the Malachi Branhams and even Sohan being a top 10 pick hasn't turned into the star they maybe hoped he would be.
Right.
You could go back to the Joshua Primos on down. They've just had bad draft picks. And additionally, they have the 3rd longest playoff drought in the NBA. But to your point about the money, if, say, Devin Vassell ends up coming to Sacramento in that trade, guess who is the largest contract remaining on the Spurs right now? It's Harrison Barnes.
Wow.
They would have complete financial flexibility. And obviously, you're going to have to pay Wemby the max sooner rather than later. So it's not a perfect science, but they have relative flexibility to go out and acquire someone else. Also, Keldon Johnson making $18 million a year works well in a trade. Obviously, Keldon might get traded to Sacramento in all of this. So
yeah,
that's just the circumstance that they find themselves in. And to Bill's point, this is not just about this year for wanting to go to San Antonio. This is about the next 6 years of your basketball career getting to play with Victor Wembanyama in his 20s.
Well, and the other thing too, and you mentioned it with Pop, is stability. That's what a lot of people have been saying. The Kings, stability in the Kings is not a sentence that happens very often, but it is with the Spurs. And no, they haven't had success lately, but it's somewhere that De'Aaron he's in Texas, he's back in Texas, he can lay down his roots or relay down his roots, he can play with a generational player, and he can trust a front office and an ownership group to make the right decisions. And it might not happen next season, but this brother is not even 30 yet. So he's not really, I don't think he's really tripping off of, we need to win right now. I think, and that's what I said a couple days ago, he would sacrifice a Kings scrap to now it's looking like the play-in is really going to happen. But prior to that, he would scrap maybe we get the 6th seed in Sacramento for one hoorah to convince Monty McNair and Wes Wilcox to make a move, or I can go to the Spurs, and I know they're going to take care of business. 916-339-1140. James, AC, and Angus. So let's get to James. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, James? What you got for us?
My call. I appreciate it.
Of course.
See, I kind of following up on your point regarding some of the instability within the organization. With Fox being here as long as he has, I definitely feel like, that has been ingrained in him a little bit, the losing, the inconsistency, the number of coaches that they've had. So it's hard for me to have a problem with Fox's kind of approach to this right now. But the question that I feel like, that's being asked right now is like, how did we get here? And I just want correction if my timeline is wrong, but he turned down his contract over the summer, right? The extension. And then the thought process, at least for me anyway, as a fan of the team, is he's looking for that max deal, the super max deal that he can get. So for me, my expectation, and I have to imagine it had to be the organization's expectation as well, was that Fox was going to come out with that tenacity, that aggressive Fox that, Mike Brown called out in the media a few times, and even Doug Christie the other night mentioned it, where it's like that aggressive Fox that wants it and wants to show that he is a super max type player and, get that 350, was the direction that this whole thing was going to go at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, thanks for the call, James. That's where I thought it would too. I mean, you can make the argument, and he did the same thing last season, though. Started out hot, and then things cooled off a little bit. So I do think that he thought that was realistic. Maybe it's possible once the finger thing happened, it was, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off. And they started losing games because, look, he told us he didn't care about the money, whether we believed him or not. I do think $345 million is a lot different than, the 70. This is relatively speaking, the $70 million that the difference if he goes somewhere else or has that extension with his current team. Once that Supermax started to fade away, and look, maybe some of this is, I didn't know DeMar DeRozan was going to take this many shots from me. The only number 2 out there that is going to get a Supermax, and I shouldn't say the only, but one of the only other examples that we have is Jaylen Brown, right? So you got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They won a championship together. So being a number, and De'Aaron isn't a number 2 right now. He's the number 1, but I don't know that his mentality has always been a number 1. And I've said multiple times that I don't necessarily know that he wants to be a number 1. So I don't know, to be completely honest with you. I think it's a great question. I think that was the intention. He did say he wasn't really tripping off of the Supermax, and he really didn't talk that much about the Supermax money. When he was on the Draymond pod, he said, I got enough money. So he has kind of avoided that, and maybe that's how he actually felt. And besides that crazy weekend when guys weren't playing, we haven't seen De'Aaron just say, I'm going to take over. I watched Warriors Thunder last night. I'm not going to talk about, I guess I can't talk about prop talk, but Steph Curry, just foul Steph, please. But I watched the Thunder last night. SGA is in it every single night. He dropped 50 and they lost. But that's all NBA type stuff. So it became clear that De'Aaron just wasn't in that mind frame, and maybe some of that was the finger. Who knows? AC Angus, Chris, we got you. Kyle's giving me the Dame Lillard. I'm way over time, but we will get to you on the other side. That means it's a shorter break. Allen Stiles Show, Sacktown Sports.
Saturday night, Kings and Thunder. Team night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip off at 5.
The Kings play here on Sacktown Sports.
Sacktown Sports, 1140.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave coming to you from my good friends at American Energy. Look, it's already cold outside. It's only going to get colder. American Energy wants to help you stay warm and make sure your system is operating safely. So right now is the time to take advantage of the $49 tune-up inspection. Normally $119, $49 right now, and that includes a full safety and duct inspection. And check it out. If your system's over 10 years old, and I'll bet it is, the tune-up, it's free. It's free from a company that's been in business since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ Better Business Bureau. Check their Yelp, check their Google reviews. Don't take my word for it. Give them a call right now. $50 off your first recommended repair. If you need a new furnace, half off the price of a new unit. Check them out at the AEway.com and tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
Call 916-520-9998 now.
When you take the time to shop at Folsom Lake Honda, there's one thing you'll always find. Happy people ready to serve you. As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too. Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Want the best movie experience in town? Join Sacktown Sports IMAX Pass by visiting SacktownSports.com. Sign up today. You can win tickets to see this week's films at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
Happy New Grill. Whitey here reminding you that not all grills are created equal. Give your family a real treat as we did on Christmas Eve. Bring out all the flavors of the new year with the amazing Napoleon Prestige line of outdoor cookers. Napoleon grills have features other grills can't match. They're built different, built better, built to last. Complete with a lifetime warranty and premium steel that boasts absolute quality. Whitey and Napoleon Grills wish you Happy New Year. Visit Green Acres Nursery today for your best selection of Napoleon grills and accessories.
You can finally follow through with that resolution to get into that Jeep, Ram, Dodge, or Chrysler you've
always wanted at Sacramento Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. It's the place where a handshake still means something, getting you the best deals in town with the best customer experience. See for yourself. They're centrally located right next to Hagan Oaks Golf.
Of this be saved. 916-339-1140. Let's continue with the phone lines. Got AC, Angus, and Chris. Let's get to AC. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, AC? What you got for us?
Hey, Alan. This is Alan, president of your fan club.
Hey. Good to hear from you, Alan.
So I'm one of the. I love the Pitchfork comment. That was genius. I'm one of the villagers.
Okay.
I came up with a new term, LVP, which is least valuable player.
Mm-hmm.
That's that agent for Fox.
Mm.
He lost that game for the Kings last night. It's kind of like I used to work in sales, and the sales organization was really careful never to put out to the sales force about someone dying in the organization, because that day sales would be down, right? So there's really no way that you can have a great game when someone like Fox comes out and puts the death knell in the game by saying, this is just a business, right?
Yeah.
Because we know it's a business that's still full of emotion, right? So anyway, this is not a really great time for Kings fans, but the reality is, even if they played their butts off, we still face someone like, Oklahoma City in the first round of the playoffs or something, or even if we make it past the play-in. So it's not a great scenario, but what are you going to do?
Thanks for the call, AC. Thanks for the call, Alan. Yeah, and the whole thing with last night is you could just see it. You could just feel it, right? I mean, you had Doug making the stank face when Keegan had that ridiculous sequence, and he ended up dunking, and Keegan went off last night, 17. We should be talking about that. But you lose a game you have no business losing. You didn't care to defend. You didn't care to rebound. And I don't know how much of that is their fault. And that's why I don't know how long this should last. A good note, somebody tagged me on social media, a good note about this whole thing. So, and Kyle, I know you have a photographic memory. I used to. The Anthony Davis thing, he did not get moved until the summer.
No, he did not.
So if this is the clutch playbook, we're walking the Kings make a decision whether or not they even want to go get a Larry Nance or something like that and give some type of hope, even if it's a little bit of posturing. And then you head into the summer and we all know that this thing is ending.
So my note isn't here anymore, but just the Spark Notes version was Anthony Davis requested a trade. The two teams that got in on the deal, on the talks, were the Lakers and the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Davis wanted to go to the Lakers. His dad came out and said, we don't want to go to Boston, but Boston still tried to offer Jaylen Brown for Anthony Davis back then.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is they ended up going past the deadline without coming to a trade. There was that whole controversy of, will the Pelicans just sit Anthony Davis the rest of the season? It led to him in April wearing the That's All Folks shirt, which then led to Alvin Gentry saying,
"That's a haul, folks."
And eventually he did get moved for Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, the number 4 pick in the draft, which was DeAndre Hunter, but they traded to Atlanta. And I think they ended up with, I think if you follow the path, it was like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jackson Hayes, and Herb Jones out of that pick.
Yeah.
And then they got 2 first-round picks that they flipped to Atlanta in the DeJounte Murray trade. One of them was Dyson Daniels, and one of them still hasn't been cashed yet. But it did take until, I think it was like June 15th to finalize the trade.
And that's what's funny, because the Pelicans, they kind of did everything right? When Anthony Davis said he wanted out, they make the necessary moves. They end up getting Zion. They end up getting Brandon Ingram. They end up hitting on Trey Murphy. They end up hitting on Herb Jones. And it's just been it's just bizarre out there in New Orleans, because I wouldn't compare New Orleans to Sacramento from a basketball perspective, but that's a situation where you gave up. It doesn't always work. You have the OKCs of the world, and you have the New Orleans of the world. And the other part of it too with OKC is, last night when I took my Jalen Brunson, Malik Monk take and put some numbers behind it, and I put it on social media, somebody is saying, you have to tank correctly. You have to tank correctly, but that doesn't mean you have to do it immediately. Let's not forget, the Thunder tried to retool. Now, it didn't really work out, but they tried to retool with the Russell Westbrook, Paul. They still got Paul George, and they were respectable, right?
Yes, and remember, the solution to getting a top, to get an MVP in the draft doesn't always mean you have to tank correctly. If we go down the list of who the best players in the NBA are right now, Nikola Jokic, 41st pick in the NBA draft. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 11th pick in the NBA draft. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 13th pick in the NBA draft. It doesn't always mean you have to get the number 1 pick. Now, that's your best chance. You can obviously go to the Anthony Davises, Joel Embiid pick number 3. Kevin Durant was the number 2 pick in the draft. Obviously, that's the best spot to hit. But just because you don't tank correctly, quote unquote, doesn't make it a precursor to not. The Pelicans got lucky enough to land the number 1 pick twice for Anthony Davis and Zion Williamson, and they've won 1 playoff series with both of those teams versus the Thunder, who had got the same number of draft picks and ended up developing and getting lucky, but also developing Shai Gilgeous-Alexander into the MVP player he is now.
916-339-1140. We got Angus and Chris on the line before we get to the other side. What's up, Angus? What you got for us?
What's up, Allen? I was on yesterday, but I just love this show too much. I had to run it back.
I appreciate it. Floor is yours.
Yes, sir. I just want to play devil's advocate a little bit. Like, we always hear Monty McNair preaching about flexibility in the future and going forwards. But one of the few things that he might not have been sure of is whether or not De'Aaron Fox is a $70 million player. Because if he made All-NBA and was eligible for that, do you think the Kings would have committed $70 million to him, considering that when you look at the way that the Kings play, Monk can do just about everything that Fox can do, not to mention that he's a better shooter, maybe not as good a defender as Fox. But Monk is only making, $17, $18 million a year compared to potentially giving Fox a $70 million contract to essentially perform the same role, right?
Yeah. No, thanks for the call, Angus. Great stuff. That goes back to everything that we've been saying, right? As far as where does De'Aaron Fox belong? And I see some people in the chat saying it's kind of annoying that all of a sudden whenever, and they've done this before. They did this with Harrison Barnes. You will never hear about a player. De'Aaron Fox had to score 1,000 points in a weekend to get on NBA Today on ESPN and do his media run, right? And you never heard about De'Aaron Fox again. They did the same thing with Harrison Barnes. Now that De'Aaron Fox is ready to leave Sacramento, De'Aaron Fox is the best. De'Aaron Fox, this is the top caliber point guard, and he's so underrated, blah, 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 blah. Y'all made him underrated because you never talked about him. So I understand why fans are upset about this, because they do this spin every time a player wants to leave Sacramento or any of these small markets, but kind of specifically Sacramento. To your point, Angus, about actually paying De'Aaron Fox that money, whether or not Monty feels like De'Aaron is worth that money, if he had got the All-NBA, they would have paid him. They would have had to. They would have paid him. Now, maybe everybody was banking on, I just don't think De'Aaron's going to do it. And we don't have a good enough team for De'Aaron to do it, right? So whether or not he would have got paid, he would have got paid. Whether or not anybody actually thought he would get All-NBA, I think it was definitely possible, but now we'll know. I guess we still could know, but what did he do last night? 19 on 7 of 15, and you lost to the terrible set, the G League 76ers. That's not going to get it done. 916-339-1140. Let's get to Chris, who wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Chris? What you got for us?
Hey, what's up, man? I got a question. So it's Throwback Thursday, so let's go all the way back.
Okay.
Let's go all the way back to where we traded Tyrese Halliburton for DeMontis Sabonis. Right? So I'm trying to show you something. So we're trying to say that De'Aaron Fox says we're not trying to win, but we trade a reliable asset in Tyrese Halliburton, who we drafted. We got rid of him because we couldn't think them two could coexist, right? So, and then you get DeMar DeRozan this year. So if De'Aaron Fox didn't think, or if we thought De'Aaron Fox wasn't going to stay here, then why don't we trade De'Aaron Fox for some bonus and we keep Tyrese Halliburton?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand where De'Aaron Fox is saying we're not trying to win when we got rid of Tyrese Halliburton for him and we got DeMontis Sabonis for him. And then we traded this year for DeMar DeRozan. It didn't get off to the start because of the chemistry. It always ends up bad in the beginning anyways when you get a new player. But now that everybody knows how to space themselves on the court and run the right offense and play together, and we went on that 7-game win streak.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Chris. You're breaking up a little bit, but don't worry. Don't worry. You did your thing. And that's why I keep asking, I know this team isn't good enough, but what specifically is the problem, De'Aaron? Do you want a brand new bench? Right? Do you want a brand new bench? I know part of the problem is that you don't have enough size. But specifically go and to your point, Chris, about moving on from De'Aaron instead of Halliburton, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but we're not really sure how much control the Kings had in that choice. It might have been more about the Pacers choosing Halliburton over De'Aaron because of money, control, and things like that. So that's what we've heard is kind of part of it. But that's what I keep saying. De'Aaron saying the team isn't good enough going into the season, was there enough to change that narrative, right? To change it. De'Aaron go, you need to do more. Okay, well, there's only so much you can do in a trade. So basically he's saying, really, there's nothing there. You can't do enough to keep me. Was there a realistic path? On the other side, we continue that conversation. We have updates from teams that are out right now from Tim McMahon and Chris Mannix. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Saturday night, Kings and Thunder. Team night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip-off at 5.
The Kings play here on Sacktown Sports.
Sacktown Sports, 1140.
Getting your guaranteed maximum refund with TaxSlayer feels like discovering a refund tree has grown in your backyard.
I'm the refund tree.
Sawing off its branches.
Hey.
Feeding them through a wood chipper.
My branches! My beautiful branches!
And dancing in its refund rain. Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
What's up? We're talking to Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and Woodland. Chad, what's going on for the Start Something New sales event?
It's a new year, and we have big savings on the new 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs with up to $16,000 off MSRP, which means you can get one of America's favorite trucks starting as low as $38,655.
Wow, starting the year off with some big savings already.
Not only do we have great deals on new Ram trucks, the Hoblet family of dealers is growing with a huge selection of used cars at the Hoblet Certified Pre-Owned Supercenter, with over 200 used vehicles available and 40 under $20,000.
Search, select, and save through their whole inventory at HobletDodge.com. Unbeatable prices, unbeatable selection. Nobody beats Hoblet, period.
16,000 total net savings on select new 2025 Ram 1500 after 10,500 rebates, 5,500 dealer discount. Rebates include 1,500 SFS bonus cash. Must finance with Stellantis. 500 on the job upfit. Must provide upfit talk. And 2,000 Ford Conquest cash. Must own or lease Ford vehicle. Not everyone will qualify for all rebates. 5 with this net savings. See dealer for details. 38,665 sample VIN 616-182.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-990-1551. That's 800-990-1551.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that Black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
KHTK-HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sacktown Sports 1140.
Involving the Kings. I saw some rumors, but I definitely didn't hear that. He said, quote, whatever Sacramento is doing, that's, their prerogative. If it involves me or not, obviously I would have found out, he continued, but I'm kind of happy I just didn't have that news. Sorry, nothing against Sacramento, just kind of happy I didn't have that news hit my phone. I've just got to continue to be the best professional I can be and continue playing basketball. Okay, so somebody's going to take that and turn it into he doesn't want to go to Sacramento, right?
Damn, because he didn't have to add the...
But do you think is that what he's saying?
No, because he's trying to be respectful in the quote. I just think that's a situation of he didn't have to add the sorry to Sacramento thing. I'm not even saying like he did it in a bad way. Yeah.
Sorry to this city. Let me read it again. Is John Collins, this is from Andy Larson, the Jazz guy. He spoke to John Collins this morning, okay? And I'm worried now that people are going to say John Collins or someone, Gilbert Arenas, a dummy like that, is going to go out and say something about Sacramento. Let me read it. I saw some rumors, but I definitely didn't hear that when John Collins was asked about a deal involved with the Kings. Here's the quote. Whatever Sacramento is doing, that's, their prerogative. If it involves me or not, obviously I would have found out, he continued, but I'm kind of happy I just didn't have that news. Sorry, nothing against Sacramento, just kind of happy I didn't have that news hit my phone. I just got to continue to be the best professional I can be and continue playing basketball. Let me first say this, though. With everything going on in Sacramento, we could probably remove the city and the market. I mean, he's in Utah. I think we can remove the city and the market and all that. Would you want to go to the Kings right now?
Well, not right now, but a week ago, I mean, sure.
But he was asked, this was this morning.
I do think it's interesting that he said, first of all, before I dive into the nuance of it, can we just laugh at the fact that he said that without having to take it as a slight to Sacramento? Because he's trying to be polite throughout the entire quote. So I don't think he's just all of a sudden in the middle going to just slight Sacramento. So again, let's just laugh at it without having it be anything more than that. Number two, I think that him saying the part of I was never informed about a trade when we know that players on the Kings were informed of a trade is unintentionally very interesting, because the Jazz are regarded as a relatively well-run organization, or at least they have Danny Ainge, so therefore we regard them as being more well-run, and they've had a lot of success that, quite frankly, they probably shouldn't have had in a market like Salt Lake City over the last 35 years.
Yeah.
And so I think it is very interesting that he happened to mention that in the quote when the conversation here in Sacramento that he's probably not aware of was, oh, hey, by the way, we told these players that a trade was going to happen, and then all of a sudden it didn't happen.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a classic. Now, look, on top of what's going on with the Sacramento Kings and De'Aaron Fox, I don't think this has anything to do with the city at all. He's played in Atlanta, and now he's played in Utah. Obviously, Atlanta is Atlanta, but, Utah is also Utah. So I don't think it's a Sacramento thing. I don't think it's you're not going to disrespect. Before we even go there, unless we hear more, they're kind of a mess. They fired their coach. De'Aaron Fox might be gone, all right, which means that this thing is going to be, if I'm going to go from, I don't want to go from rebuild to rebuild. I was supposed to go to a contender. And
or rebuild to rebuild to rebuild, because he's done it 3 times now.
And on top of that, look, from a human aspect, who likes moving? I don't know what John Collins' family situation is, but nobody likes moving. You got to pick up and you got to do certain things, and it's a mess. And the last thing I'll say, and I've said this for a very long time, a lot of people got on D'Angelo Russell about what he said as far as a free basketball, and that's why this guy will never be a winner, and that's why I wouldn't want him on my team. At least he's keeping it 100, because I think there are a lot of people out there, a lot of players that don't really mind making millions of dollars, living lavish lifestyles, and just hooping with no expectations. And D'Angelo Russell essentially said, I'm actually cool with this. I could be a bridge, whatever, to whatever the Nets got going. It's a pretty good life. And maybe there's also a version of John Collins. I got to go to Sacramento and the drama that they got going, and there's going to be a playoff push, and I got to play with more expectations, and the coach got fired, and De'Aaron might be out the window. You know what? I'm going to just do my thing in Utah. Nobody really cares if we win or not. We're actually supposed to lose, and I'm just going to go about my business.
And John Collins is having the best season of his career since his second year in Atlanta, which I will admit was also free basketball. Like, that was, I think, Trae Young and Kevin Huerter's rookie season, and they kind of stunk. But he's having his best season in like 5 years playing for the Utah Jazz. If he's going to get traded, maybe you'd want to go to like a team that legitimately is a championship contender. But the difference between 15th in the West and 11th in the West maybe isn't quite John Collins' forte, which is fine. Again, I don't want to interpret the quote at all as a slight to Sacramento. I just want to laugh at it. But at the same time, like, yeah, free basketball is a thing. That's what your favorite player, Pool Boy, was saying when he went to Washington.
That's
it's
right.
Like, I got a ring. My legacy is secured.
I'm cashed out.
Yeah.
What's the problem? Well, and I think you make a good point from the top of the conversation where he got asked that this morning. If he got asked this question in the middle of if they had just lost to the Bucks, right? So they just fired off a 7-game win streak. They lose to the Bucks, but the vibes are high. I think this answer from John Collins is completely different than what it is now. So much has happened within the last week here that I don't have a problem with what John Collins said at all, and I don't think it's a Gilbert Arenas hating Sacramento thing.
No, and I just want to laugh at it because it's so funny that he had to say sorry to the city or whatever right in the middle of it.
Let's get to what Tim McMahon had to say, and this is a team he doesn't believe will be in pursuit. This was on the Brian Windhorst show called The Hoop and the Hoop Collective, and Tim McMahon is basically saying that the Rockets might not be in. Here it is.
But the Rockets aren't, like, their whole thing has been we're going to be patient throughout this year. I checked in, and I don't think that's changing. I checked in after the Shams broke the De'Aaron Fox thing. I think this summer, depending on how things played out, Fox would have been a serious consideration for them. But again, I don't think the Rockets are going to get involved here.
There it is, and they want to see what they have. And to me, that's saying we don't, as I'm looking at this text and the last texter we have from the 415, shout out to 415, honestly, where would you rank Fox amongst current point guards? I think that what you're saying, 415, is kind of what what the Rockets are saying as well. We like De'Aaron Fox. We kind of want to see what we have. Fred VanVleet's been in and out. We're rolling right now. We're the 2 seed in the West. We think that the OKC Thunder are really good, but they could be had. Amen Thompson is getting better each and every game. I don't know that we want to blow this up quickly and get our quote-unquote number one. As we've said before, when teams are trading in the middle of a season to try to make a push, it's for that missing piece, but normally that missing piece isn't a number one. And we want to move on from Jalen Green, that's fine. But if I'm Houston, and this is no disrespect, do I trust De'Aaron as my number one? I don't know. Me personally, you know how I feel if you've been listening. And if you're new to the show, I think De'Aaron is probably ultimately going to be a number two. I think De'Aaron's perfect situation is a Kyrie to somebody's Luka, and that's essentially what he would be in San Antonio. I'm not giving up the farm if I'm Houston for De'Aaron Fox to be my number one. Now, if there's another deal out there, because who's your number one? Şengün? No.
Well, I just look at Houston. I'm like, it's just a copy-paste of the Sacramento Kings.
Pretty much.
I mean, Jalen Green and Malik Monk, it's not hard to find similarities in their games. Şengün and Sabonis, basically the same player. Sabonis is better right now, but you project that Şengün...
They just have better young pieces, right? They have the Tari Easons. Amen Thompson is your Keegan in a different way.
Well, I was going to say Jabari Smith Jr.
Sure,
again,
one of them.
Jabari Smith Jr. was literally the pick right before Keegan.
Yeah.
So they're basically constructed similarly. I guess you could argue Houston has the potential for a greater, run because of that bench depth, but at the very top, I feel like it's just a copy paste of the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah. So I don't think that honestly helps either side. I don't think that helps De'Aaron in what he's looking for, and I don't think it helps the Rockets in what they're looking for. Now, I don't know if the Rockets are going to find what they're looking for, but that's why I believe they want to see what happens this season, because maybe what they have and what they're looking for is what they already have.
Yeah, and the only thing is non-basketball sense, which is De'Aaron just wants to go live in Houston.
That's right, but that doesn't mean that Houston wants anything to do with De'Aaron. To be
and McMahon kind of spilled it out, right? Like if this had gotten in the offseason, Houston may have been more open, but Houston's not going to make any trades before the deadline.
We will hear from Chris Mannix and what he has to say as far as where Jimmy Butler doesn't want to go. I'll give you a hint. I love it. I want some more of it. Allen Stiles Show, Sacktown Sports.
All guests and callers join us from the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Trying to find out where to catch your favorite team's games?
Are you a fan of the Kings, Niners, and the NFL? Well, Sacktown Sports has you covered.
Touchdown! San Francisco! It's all on his shoulders. Fox rocks. He fires for the win. He's got the triple.
Catch all your Kings, Niners, and NFL games all year long on Sacktown Sports and SacktownSports.com.
paid for by government. Now is the time to fill your vault with Morgan Silver Bars. Grab your piece of America's silver legacy with this special offer. These spectacular shining silver bars featuring a crisp image of the iconic Morgan silver dollar, a legendary coin that has captivated collectors for generations. Call now to secure 1-ounce silver bars minted in 99.9% pure silver and made in the USA. Don't miss out on this special deal. Regularly priced at $49.95, but for a limited time, only $39.95. Save $10 per silver bar. Limit of 25 bars per customer. The more you buy, the more you save. Up to $250 in savings and free shipping on every order. Plus, with qualifying orders, you'll receive a free Morgan Silver Dollar. That's a $59.95 value free. Call 1-800-937-4707 now to secure your 1-ounce Morgan Silver Bars for only $39.95. That's 1-800-937-4707.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
From the 916, if the Kings are looking to trade Fox, why would they continue to play him and risk injury? Yeah, I don't think it's that simple. I think there's rules. There's rules on that type of stuff. You can't just sit somebody. I think that's what the Heat were kind of dealing with, why it was, well, he's suspended, detrimental to the team and things like that. You can't just say, we're going to put him in glass. Now, to be fair, 916, or conduct detrimental to the team. To be fair, 916, I mean, his finger is pointing the wrong way. They could say, hey, finger injury. So that's a good point, 916. They could do that.
I mean, no one's tried to do the DNP CD thing. I mean, there's always going to be workarounds to this, but the league has kind of cracked down on this stuff, saying if you're on the team, you need to play beyond the all-NBA stuff and everything else. The league just kind of frowns upon the healthy sits or the resting sits or load management or whatever else it is. So they can always find workarounds, but obviously if De'Aaron wants to play, they can't really just sit him down without a fight from either the Players Association or the league.
So that is, that's why I don't think we'll just see him on the bench. But Chris Mannix had this to say about the aforementioned Jimmy Butler, who was on the bench, and where Jimmy wants to go. Here it is.
A couple of weeks ago, I had been writing that Jimmy Butler, the two teams he has basically been communicating that he didn't want to go to were the Memphis Grizzlies and the Sacramento Kings. Basically saying, like, look, don't acquire me if there's an option to do it out there.
There it is. That's Jimmy, and I don't think the Fox thing would help the Jimmy situation. So yeah, I don't think we got to worry about it, and it is a very happy day for me. I am so glad that Jimmy Butler, we joke about John Collins and all that. I can't tell you, that was the best news I heard in at least the last couple weeks.
Damn, you know how down bad you got to be I don't want to go here, but I will go to Utah. That's pretty.
But he doesn't want to go. They go on to say he doesn't want it for whatever reason. He does not want to go to Memphis either.
I don't get that one, but he must have his reasons, personal or otherwise, why he just maybe there's someone on the team he doesn't like.
Yeah, and that's the type of stuff that we'll find out eventually. But yeah, I am so happy. I don't want anything to do with Jimmy Butler.
I have no idea where he's going to end up, but he's going to end up somewhere now, right? Even if Miami takes the 1-year prove-it deal offer, they got to get something for him at this point, because he's never going to play another game for the Miami Heat. So I guess the Heat are just going to take lesser offers at this point. If there's no way Phoenix can trade for him because of Bradley Beal, I don't even know what team is it. I have no idea where this saga is going to end up for Jimmy Butler, other than it's not going to end up in Sacramento.
Yeah, and I am very glad that that is the case. I can tell you that much right now. 916 having that conversation. Fox isn't a number one. That's been part of the problem. We've gone back and forth with this, and like I said, I don't even know if he wants to be a number one. The 415, going back to that question, honestly, where would you rank Fox among current point guards? Among current point guards, I mean, you have Shea, Luka, Steph, Brunson.
Yep. That's the tier one.
That's the tier one.
The last one is, how do we feel about Damian Lillard?
I'm not
in the same tier.
Not in the same tier. I think I still have Dame over De'Aaron Fox. I think.
Oh yeah, no, I do too. I just meant, would Lillard be like in that group with those four, or are we starting another second tier of players now?
Here's a question, and this, I guess this guy always gets kind of put in the shooting guard conversation, but yeah, so we're not counting Donovan Mitchell as a point guard?
No, that's a shooting guard, because we are counting Darius Garland.
What's funny to me is that you won't see De'Aaron Fox compared to Donovan Mitchell, but you will see him compared to Devin Booker, who I also think is a shooting guard.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that comparison just because Devin Booker's not a point guard. His game is so uniquely different. I have the list here of the point guards ranked by efficiency rating if you want to play the game.
But I think it's just better to just do guards, to be honest, personally, right? Because I think when 415 asks a question like that, I don't think that they are saying specifically point guards. I think in their mind they are, but I want to know if people have De'Aaron Fox over Donovan Mitchell.
All right. We can play that game. So I've got 15 guards here that are ranked ahead of De'Aaron Fox.
Let's play King of the Mountain.
King of the Mountain. Okay, so we mentioned we're just going by player efficiency rating for this season. So this is only for this season now.
So is De'Aaron at the top of the mountain right now? And then I'll say who is going above him, and we'll see where he ends up. Okay. So De'Aaron's at the top right now.
All right. So I guess we'll work from the top down. So we'll just count it out. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Okay, De'Aaron is down to 2.
Luka Doncic.
De'Aaron is down to 3.
Jalen Brunson.
De'Aaron is 4.
Steph Curry.
De'Aaron is 5.
Darius Garland.
That's tough. I think I got De'Aaron.
Okay.
I got De'Aaron.
Damian Lillard.
I want De'Aaron because of age. But I got De'Aaron.
All right.
I got De'Aaron.
I disagree on that one.
He's still 5.
All right, then we'll go to Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, De'Aaron's 6.
All right. LaMelo Ball.
De'Aaron's still 6 to me.
All right. We'll go to Devin Booker.
I'm taking Devin Booker, I think.
All right, so we're at 7 right now. We got 5 more left here. Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, you know I love Tyrese Maxey.
So overrated. You know what? You take Maxey, I'll take Lillard. So he's at 8 right now.
Sure.
We'll call it 8. Call it even. Tyrese.
Oh, my gosh. And he's been playing well, too,
Yeah,
lately.
Tyrese is ahead of him in efficiency rating.
I can't do it on Sacramento airwaves. I can't do it.
I'll do it, Allen.
Okay.
I will puff my chest and say I'd rather have Tyrese Halliburton.
You have De'Aaron down to 9.
Sure, we'll call it that. Norman Powell.
All right. One good season.
Fine. Tyler Hero.
Isn't he like 24?
Something like that.
Oh. Give me De'Aaron just on respect.
All right, sounds good. I mean, Tyler's going to be an all-star this year, and De'Aaron's not, but also Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Just, let's see, 3 more. Kyrie Irving.
De'Aaron.
All right, we'll stick there. Cade Cunningham.
Oh.
Yeah. You got to give it to Cade, man.
Just based on age, I got to go Cade.
He's also just really good. I mean, I'm surprised he's that low in efficiency rating. He might be putting up some empty calories there for the Pistons, but that's fine.
So what is De'Aaron, 9 or 10 right now?
Either 9, 10, or 11, depending on the people playing at home. Last one, Anthony Edwards.
Oh, come on.
Ant?
Ant.
Yeah, I assume.
So De'Aaron is on the like number 10.
he's outside the top 10. We'll call it that. But there's also some names below him that we can debate. Ja Morant.
Give me De'Aaron.
All right. Trae Young.
Give me De'Aaron.
Jamal Murray.
Give me De'Aaron.
James Harden.
De'Aaron.
Zach LaVine.
De'Aaron.
I guess Jaylen Brown's technically a guard, but he's more of a forward. So
yeah,
we'll put him in a separate category. So yeah, I mean, you're looking at like somewhere between 11 to 13, depending on how many people we just listed off there, which again is probably, I mean, look at the group that we were just having the debates on. Cade, Tyrese Halliburton. Those guys are number ones. They're just not, I mean, I know the Pacers went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, but they're number ones on teams that also have either are tanking or have strong forwards.
916 says, you two sound like you want to drive Fox to the airport. Shaking my head. Who is the egregious pick? I mean, De'Aaron is top 10. He is not a top 5 guard in the league.
Yeah, Tyrese Maxey. That was kind of weird that you chose Tyrese Maxey.
Okay, but again, it depends on how we're looking at this. If we're looking at this as who I want on my team tomorrow, Tyrese Maxey's like 24.
Sure, but you also said you wouldn't take Damian Lillard, which I get the age thing, but like Damian Lillard versus Tyrese Maxey, it's still Damian Lillard.
Either way, that keeps De'Aaron, take your pick. He's not top 5 guard.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I don't think we named 5 off the top of our head just before we even started. We were just trying to figure out how low can you go.
I'm just trying to figure out how these teams, again, what I really want to know is who are the dozens of teams, who are the teams that reached out? Because how many of those teams have a clear-cut number 1, and how many of those teams were calling to make De'Aaron Fox that number 1? That's what I want to know. Was one of the calls the Orlando Magic? Let's hear from Jason Bede on the other side, or the Orlando Sentinel. Are the Magic interested in one De'Aaron Fox? And what could the Kings get back in return? Now, South Sacktown Sports.
Kevin Herter plays here.
It's Herter. He's been hot. He fires. He's still hot. Kevin Herter from downtown has a 15-point first quarter.
Sacktown Sports is your proud home of the Sacramento Kings.
You know, when it's all on the line, you need a big-time closer, and that's especially true when it comes to your garage door. And that's why I recommend National Garage Door, 638-4554. Whitey Gleason here for National Garage Door. Whether you're looking to repair an existing door or get a brand new one installed, you need National Garage Door. Family-owned and operated. They've been around since 1974 because service is their number one priority. National Garage Door are the region's BSE, it's broken spring experts. Styles, prices, and quality of the new doors will amaze you. Our garage door was starting to sound kind of, and that's not good. So Kevin from National Garage Door came out. He said patching up the old one was an option, but we're getting a new garage door. We're pretty happy about that. National Garage Door sells quality Rainer branded garage doors. They offer sales, service, and installation on all residential and commercial doors and operators. If you have garage door needs, old ones coming apart, or you're looking to improve your curb appeal, let National Garage Door come through for you in the clutch and be your closer. 638-4554, National Garage Door.
Happy New Grill. Whitey here reminding you that not all grills are created equal. Give your family a real treat as we did on Christmas Eve. Bring out all the flavors of the new year with the amazing Napoleon Prestige line of outdoor cookers. Napoleon grills have features other grills can't match. They're built different, built better, built to last. Complete with a lifetime warranty and premium steel that boasts absolute quality. Whitey and Napoleon Grills wish you Happy New Year. Visit Green Acres Nursery today for your best selection of Napoleon grills and accessories.
Maida Chevy saves you $8,000 off MSRP on new 2025 half-ton Silverado LT and RST after rebates. Resolve to save now with $8,000 off new Silverados at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
See dealer for details. Last on 2011 or newer Chevrolet.
Fall head over boots in love with music this Valentine's Day. Get ready for Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, returning May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, and more. Enjoy food trucks, mechanical bulls, and line dancing. Tickets start at just $52. Visit CITPfest.com. Brought to you by Hyatt Vacation Club. Don't just say, I love you. Show it with music. Buy tickets now.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, the Scratch Kitchen delivers lunch in the clutch. I mean, where else can you order a 29-degree draft beer and a quickie combo on your lunch break? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Finally, an easy way to find home improvement contractors. Just visit subcontractorsunited.com and simplify your search for home services professionals. From cabinets to windows, roofing to plumbing, Subcontractors United is an easy, simple way to find and hire a home improvement contractor. And you never have to give up personal information. So no harassing phone calls like you get from those other websites. Subcontractorsunited.com is sponsored by D&D Cabinets and Savage Design.
When you take the time to shop at Folsom Lake Honda, there's one thing you'll always find. Happy people ready to serve you. As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too. Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
It's time to turn up the volume on live entertainment. Check out the Sacktown Sports live events calendar for the hottest events and shows coming your way. On February 18th, catch the incredible Miles Kennedy at Ace of Spades. His powerful vocals and raw talent will leave you speechless. Then gear up for an adrenaline-packed night with a Thunder Showdown boxing event at Thunder Valley on March 8th. Who will come out on top in the ring? Be there to find out. On March 9th, don't miss the legendary John Oates live at the Crest Theater, bringing you iconic hits and timeless melodies. If you're a country fan, mark your calendar for March 16th, when Alexandra Kay brings her heartfelt songs to Ace of Spades for an unforgettable evening. And on March 29th, get ready to rock the night away as Papa Roach and Rise Against take over the Golden One Center with an electrifying performance. Don't miss these amazing events. For more information and your chance to win tickets, head to SacktownSports.com. Sacktown Sports, your front row seat to the Sacramento area's best live entertainment.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
So as we continue to go process of elimination here with everything we're hearing about De'Aaron Fox and teams that he's interested in, teams that are interested in him, so on and so forth, reached out to a reporter for the Orlando Sentinel, Jason Bede, and Jason was nice enough to join us on the show to talk a little bit about De'Aaron, his Orlando Magic. Jason, we might have to double back here because the Kings actually play the Magic. What is it, on Monday of next week? I saw that Wednesday of next week. I saw that after I reached out to you, so we might have to double back here.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on this first time. Maybe we'll talk in the future. Who knows? But yeah, you're right. Next Wednesday, the Magic are at Sacramento. They're starting a 5-game West Coast trip tonight at Portland, and they go Utah, Golden State, as you mentioned, the Kings, and they wrap it up on deadline day at Denver. So this is an important trip for Orlando, no doubt.
Orlando sitting at 24-24 early in the season. They're the 6th seed right now. Early in the season, a bit ravaged by injuries, but they're starting to get healthy. How has the injuries affected Orlando's timeline, right? I mean, I would say they probably were hoping for a bit of a deep playoff run. You got Paolo getting a little bit older, Franz Wagner a little bit older. You make the move for KCP. How have the injuries affected maybe what the expectations were or are going into this season?
Yeah, I don't think their goals are not accomplishable anymore. I mean, as you just mentioned, they're still 6th. In the East last year, at this time they were 7th before rising to 5th, and clearly we all know that they're capable of getting back on track. But they've only had their opening night lineup 6 times this season, and just recently for the first time since October 30th. So I think any team that misses its top 2 scorers, and for a period of Jalen Suggs as well, its top 3 scorers. Not to mention Mo Wagner coming off the bench, 6-man candidate of the year, who tore his ACL in December. So they were down 4 of their top 5 scorers for a good stretch of this season. And I think any team in the association is going to struggle in that situation. But look, as they get healthy and which they are getting, they recently got Paolo back. They recently got Franz back, and Jalen is questionable tonight. And they're still missing a couple guys here and there. But as they get healthy and have legs back under them towards the end of the season, they feel confident that they can be playing their best basketball March and April. And when guys are, playing 70 to 80 games, Paolo Banchero is only going to have, half that or a little bit over half that under his belt come postseason. So, this is a group that's going to be really fresh. And right now they're just working through reintegrating those pieces and finding the right rotations and the right lineups. But there was a point where they played multiple games with only 8 or 9 active players because of the injuries, not just to Paolo, Franz, and Jalen, but, Gary Harris has missed a chunk of time. I mentioned Mo Wagner. Wendell Carter missed a chunk of time just in November. And, the injury bug really hit them hard this season, but give credit to Jamal Mosley and the job they've done to remain afloat.
Talking to Jason Beede, Orlando Sentinel reporter for the Orlando Magic. Do you think the Magic will make any moves heading into the deadline? And if so, what do you feel like they're looking for?
Yeah, I think, obviously when you look at the Magic, you think, shooting is the clearest need. They've needed shooting for a couple of seasons now. This year, they're league worst, 30% from 3. You mentioned at the top that they added Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who 3 of the last 4 years has shot above 40% and 39% the 1 year he didn't. And this year he's down at, in the lower 30s, and he's shooting better the last 10 games or so, but he's down to 31% on the season. So, they did add KCP. They drafted Tristan De Silva from Colorado, who was 39% at Colorado the last 2 years. And, he stepped up in a big way, filling in for Paolo and Franz. But in terms of, trade deadline, what they need is shooting. And then look, we're going to get into De'Aaron Fox in a minute, I'm sure. But, addressing those shooting woes and helping space the floor and helping open those lanes for Paolo and Franz would be massive for this team. But at the same time, the argument can be made that, getting back Paolo and Franz at this time is kind of a deadline move. I mean, they were without Paolo for 2 months. They were without Franz for 20 games. And, getting those two guys back who are their top playmakers, their top scorers, is quite the deadline movement in itself.
Talking to Jason Beede, Jason, as you were mentioning the Magic looking for scoring and specifically shooting and getting KCP, I'm curious, just to go in the time machine real quick, what was your understanding of the Magic's interest level in Malik Monk? And if he hadn't, I'm trying to think, I think KCP might have signed before Malik Monk. I'm trying to remember how all that went, but what the idea out here as we move into De'Aaron Fox, that Malik left all this money on the table to stay in Sacramento and play with his college buddy, and now De'Aaron's going to leave him. What was your understanding of the interest level with the Orlando Magic and Malik Monk, and whether or not he possibly left a bunch of money on the table?
Yeah, in terms of the exact timing, I think you might be thinking of Paul George. There was a name that he could be. There was, heading into the start of free agency, there was rumors that he was going to be meeting with the Magic, and then right before he ended up, signing where he did in Philadelphia, Orlando moved quickly to sign Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So whether it was Paul George, Malik Monk, or any of those other top, guys out there, I think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope really was at the top of their list pretty early on. For a number of reasons, not just the fact that he's an elite 3-and-D player. He's a 2-time NBA champion, obviously, and he's been really reliable. Player availability is something we've talked about the injuries earlier, not just this season, but the last few years that have really hurt the Magic. You go back to Paolo's rookie year, they started 5-20 due to, a number of injuries to their backcourt. So, getting a guy like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope who knows what it takes to not only win 1 championship, but 2 championships, I think was a big boost. And that was a big free agency signing. I mean, he's been a big leader in the locker room, and he's offered perspective to young guys like Paolo, like Franz, like Jalen, on how to, be a pro and be a champion, really. So, I can't speak to the exact interest of Monk in the past, but obviously, from the beginning of free agency, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was near the top of Orlando's list. And, he's not shooting the numbers where he or the Magic want him to right now. But as I mentioned before, in the month of January, he's up to almost 38% from 3.
Talking to Jason Beede, Magic reporter for the Orlando Sentinel. All right, Jason, we won't make people wait any longer. Are you hearing anything at all? Any whispers, rumblings, mumblings about the Magic being interested in one De'Aaron Fox?
Well, when you put it that way, I might be letting down people. But, for those who don't follow the Magic a whole lot the way I do or the others around the league do, I think most, people who are close to the organization are aware of the fact that the Magic do keep their lips sealed. They are pretty good at keeping things close to their chest, close to their vest, I should say. You should go back to the night they drafted Paolo Banchero. Nobody really knew what they were doing until it happened, pretty much. But in terms of De'Aaron Fox, I mean, I think he's made it clear, at least his representatives have made it clear, that San Antonio is his preferred destination. But as others have pointed out, there's plenty of suitors, and I think the Magic, just speaking generally, would be remiss to not be interested in him. But when you think longer about it, I'm not really sure if Fox is the right guy for Orlando. I'm not going to say he wouldn't make them better. Obviously, he's an effective scorer, a great playmaker, and obviously he would make them better to a certain degree. I'm not really sure, though, if at his price point he really addresses the needs that they need right now. He's only shooting 32% from three this season. You're taking the ball out of Paolo and Franz's hands for a lot of money. He's almost owed $40 million next year. He's be able to re-sign that a big contract, max contract, almost $300 million over the next 5 years, depending on where he ends up. And you already talked about signing Franz Wagner to a max rookie contract this past summer. They gave a lot of money to Jalen Suggs, and they have Paolo's potentially max rookie contract, most likely max rookie contract coming this summer. So that's a lot of money to your core three guys. And I'm not really sure if De'Aaron Fox, he obviously wants his own max contract as well. Paying him, you talk about a team that hasn't been in luxury tax in over a decade, going back to Dwight Howard's days. That just doesn't seem to line up with Jeff Weltman's aspirations, his goals, his plans. I mean, Jeff is a really smart executive in the sense of he's, really been committed to the big picture. They've made the moves in the past. They're at a different time in their rebuilding process, but, obviously adding a guy like De'Aaron Fox would make them better, but for the price point and what he offers, I'm not sure if he's exactly the right fix that they need, considering the injuries and really evaluating what this roster even is right now.
Jason, one more quick one before we let you go. Jason B. covers the Magic for the Orlando Sentinel. Thank you so much for joining us on short notice. If you had, because we're doing this thing with the Spurs now, and I've had some fun with some fans and some media members where now fans are gangster until it's time for a trade, and now anybody who's worn a Spurs jersey is untouchable. If the Magic were interested in De'Aaron Fox, who do you think would be on their untouchable list outside of Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero? Is there anybody else?
I mean, untouchable, I think, includes a number of guys. I think those two obviously at the top. I'd obviously have to add Jalen Suggs there. He's a big piece. He's been described constantly as their heart and soul. There are some contracts that make a lot of sense being able to move them. Gary Harris is at the top of that list in terms of touchable, I suppose, if you go the other direction. But, Jonathan Isaac is a guy that they've ridden a long time. They've gone through a lot with him, injury-wise and whatnot throughout his career. I think, even though some fans like to put him in trades, I really don't see them trading him just because of what they've gone through with him. And now they're just getting over the horizon of, this is what he's capable of. He's one of the best defenders in the league. They've ridden with him throughout this entire time. But, certainly Paolo, Franz, Jalen, those are guys that's their core. I mean, that's what they've worked to build this entire time. And those are guys, that just, they're not going to move those guys, no doubt.
Thanks for the call, Jason. This was great, and maybe we'll do it again next week. But until then, hey, good luck to your Magic, and have a good weekend.
I appreciate it. You too. Thank you so much.
That was Jason Bede, who covers the Orlando Magic for the Orlando Sentinel. And, we got to get to the other side, but the more I hear from the different reporters and media members, the more I think that De'Aaron has a lot of leverage. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Saturday night, Kings and Thunder. Team night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip off at 5.
The Kings play here on Sacktown Sports.
Sacktown Sports, 1140.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system? and you were a bit surprised at how much it cost? Or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. Every day, ZipRecruiter helps people who are actively looking for jobs like yours, so it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Fabric Talk. Hello, my love. I am your living room carpet. I see everything. I feel everything. After a while, I smell like everything, including Sir Pickles, who you snuggle with while binging that dating show you can't stop watching. So, how about we freshen things up with Febreze Fabric Spray? Oh, and a big spray for my pals, couch and ottoman. Ah, yes, refreshing. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Drapes, Kyle Draper from Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. I've had my all-electric SUV for a little more than a year, and I continue to love it day after day. In fact, me and my daughter, we were just on vacation not too long ago, and we rented a car while we were on the trip, and my daughter said, Dad, I like your car better. I turned to her and said, honey, you know what? I like it better as well, and I couldn't wait to get back home to my Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV. You know, at Mercedes-Benz of Stockton, they are more than just a dealership. They're a partner you can trust throughout the entire ownership of your luxury vehicle. Whether it's a refined C-Class or versatile SUV lineup, your perfect Mercedes-Benz is there waiting for you. Plus, right now, you can enjoy 3.24% APR for up to 72 months on certified pre-owned models on approved credit. Mercedes-Benz of Stockton is your trusted partner in luxury and reliability, and they've been doing it for more than 30 years. So head on down right now to Mercedes-Benz of Stockton or online anytime at mbofstockton.com. That's mbofstockton.com.
Want the best movie experience in town? Join Sacktown Sports IMAX Pass by visiting sacktownsports.com. Sign up today. You can win tickets to see this week's films at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
Thanks again to Jason Bede, who covers the Orlando Magic. That was great stuff. I mean, I love finding out how others view, because we all do it, fans, media, kind of overvalue some of their guys. There was a name that they didn't say, or that he didn't say. He did say Jonathan Isaac in 209 immediately. No Isaac, no trade. And I'd have to do more research on this guy, but he did not say Anthony Black, which I found interesting, who's gotten some time due to the injuries. And what is he, Kyle, a 6'6", 6'7" point guard? Where they make those at, huh?
Anthony Black is officially at 6'7", 200 pounds.
Oh my goodness. That's tall enough for The Bachelor. That is definitely tall enough to be The Bachelor.
Who is taller, Anthony Black or the current Bachelor?
Probably Anthony Black, but it might be because of the hair. I think the Anthony Black thing, again, another willing defender. They're just Orlando. They're just a bunch of bricks over there. None of them can shoot.
Orlando is one of the most interesting teams. We're going to get to this next week because we're going to have the full preview, but I was just doing our, look at the next 5 games segment, which got completely blown up by the De'Aaron Fox news. I think we were going to do that at 1 o'clock the day that
2 days ago.
Whatever day that the news broke while we were on the air was when we were going to do it. But Orlando this year is like 30th in offensive rating.
Right.
And because they're top 2 in defensive rating, it's like That I always say the Kings style of basketball is my favorite, or I say it for football. My favorite style of mediocre football is if my team can't beat Kansas City and win all the time, I want score 38 points, give up 38 points, we go 8-8. That's my style of football. Mm-hmm. Orlando is like my anti-style of basketball, right? Like we're going to play great team defense and just brick shot after shot.
Yeah, and going back to what Jason was saying as far as De'Aaron Fox, as soon as he said we need shooting, no disrespect to De'Aaron Fox, that made me feel like it probably wasn't a great fit. And we're following up on this because Evan Sidery, who was on with us yesterday, said Orlando could be a dark horse. That's real dark because, yeah, and I'm looking at Anthony Black now. He's 21 years old, but that brother is shooting 26% from three. So, still really young and a willing defender. We love the size. We love the defending nature of him. He was the sixth pick, in the 2023 draft. But, yeah, you get hit. Give me him, Jonathan Isaac, and they don't want to come off of Jonathan Isaac because of what they've been through. It doesn't feel like a fit either way. So, Kyle, get the buzzer ready. Orlando Magic sounds like they are out. All right. But thank you so much to Jason. We might have him back on next week when the Kings face the Orlando Magic. And De'Aaron Fox might not be on the team by then.
Real quick before we go to that, I found the stat I was looking for. You know those like the B-ball index graphs that we like? There's one that a different website made that was field goal droughts. Okay. And it was droughts forced versus droughts committed. And so, like, the Golden State Warriors are the worst at this. They've had 16 committed. This is 5-minute long stretches without making a shot this season. The Warriors have 16 on offense and only 4 on defense. Orlando is somehow number 1 in forced by it's them, the Clippers, and the next closest is 5 behind them. Mm-hmm. But they're also first by 5 in offensively. They're throwing up bricks and they're holding teams to to no field goals made for 5 minutes in a row. The worst style of basketball. Just they're bricking shots and they're forcing turnovers. Just I hate it.
A brick fest with the Orlando Magic. It was kind of a brick fest with the Sacramento Kings last night. Let's hear from Coach Doug Christie look, this is what Doug Christie's supposed to say, but he's saying the outside stuff that's going on did not affect the Kings last night. Here it is.
No, I thought, before the game, everybody was in a really good spot. I mean, when you look at stuff like that, you can read into a lot of different things. I don't do that. Those guys are out there to win. They're going to play their hearts out. They're going to play extremely hard. There are areas that we have to be better at, and that's ultimately once we get a lead, we have to learn how to just step on somebody's neck and put them away. And tonight is another example of not doing that. I don't think their spirit was anything give them credit. They played a good game. They were aggressive, knocked down shots. Tyrese was Tyrese, and they got the win.
Sixers outscored Sacramento 49-24. After the Kings were up 80-68 with 6 minutes left in the third. They didn't run out of gas. Again, I think they just had no direction. And I'm not even putting that on Coach Doug Christie. But, yeah, I mean, he's going to say that. They have to say that. But I don't believe – it's not that I don't believe him, but I know what I watched. And I watched the team that was, I don't know if lost is the right word. Like I said, and I said this was going to be the theme of the show. It was just awkward. The interactions were awkward. You're forced to, especially somebody like me who's an overthinker anyway, you're forced to look a little bit deeper at handshakes. I'll never forget. I did this when the whole thing happened with Kevin Durant, right? When things were heating up with Kevin Durant leaving the Warriors, I would literally watch the types of handshakes he had with the team after baskets. And every time I saw Kevin Durant make a fist bump, I would say, oh man, I think he's staying, right? And it's sick. And I don't know why. I don't know what possessed me to do that, but that's how it was. That's what it felt like last night. I'm looking at De'Aaron. They don't actually, that team doesn't really have a lot of handshakes that I've seen. You don't have a lot of
you're
handshakes.
talking about the stylized, everyone's got their own custom handshake.
Funny enough, one of the only handshakes I've seen is Malik Monk with Coach Doug Christie. I saw that last night.
Huh.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not paying close enough attention, but I guess you're right.
But you don't whip out the handshakes during games as much. But I was just paying attention to just the vibe and how everything looked. And Domantas Sabonis taking 6 shots. It's just bizarre. It's just bizarre, especially no Andre Drummond, no Joel Embiid, just bizarre stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to perform when it feels like you're not being believed in or that, the organization is willing to give up on the season.
But is that the organization, or is that, again, a little bit of De'Aaron doesn't think we're good enough, right? Is that not weird at all?
I mean, I'll always go back to this point as if the organization got word, hey, De'Aaron's leaning towards not signing an extension, they didn't have to start fielding offers. They could have said, we're going to take this into the offseason. We believe in this group, and we're going to try and turn around this season. And they bailed on that, which I guess was maybe culminating for weeks, and we just didn't know about it. But they never had to start taking De'Aaron Fox offers.
Well, they didn't have to make it. They didn't have to make it a thing, right? They kind of made it a thing. And whose fault is that? A lot of people feel like they already know, so we won't get into all of that. We will be joined by Chris Watkins and Brandon Nunes on the other side. A late but great roundtable to take us up to 2 p.m. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Live and local.
With everything 49ers.
Intercepted by Fred Warner. Dives for the end zone. Touchdown! San Francisco! Bob Bolger went up and caught the ball. Touchdown!
The 49ers play on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Getting your guaranteed maximum refund with TaxSlayer feels like discovering a refund tree has grown in your backyard.
I'm the refund tree.
Sawing off its branches.
Hey.
Feeding them through a wood chipper.
My branches! My beautiful branches!
And dancing in its refund rain. Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
What's up? We're talking to Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and Woodland. What's going on, Chad, for the Start Something New sales event?
We're going all out with the most savings I've seen on new Ram heavy duties in a long time. Right now, you can save up to $16,000 off MSRP on new 2024 Ram 2500 Rebel Crew Cabs.
$16,000 off MSRP on heavy duties? That doesn't happen often.
That's why we've been California's #1 Ram truck dealer year after year. Some call themselves the Super Ram Truck Center, but when you need a hard-to-find Ram heavy duty, Hoblet has it with over 400 new Ram trucks available.
See their full selection at HobletDodge.com. Unbeatable prices, unbeatable selection. Nobody beats Hoblet, period.
$16,000 total net savings on select new 2024 Ram 2500 Rebel after $6,500 factory rebates and $9,000 dealer discounts. Rebates include $3,000 Hoblet Select coupons while supplies last, $500 on the job upfit, must show business and upfit docs, and up to $2,000 Hoblet trade-in assistance for 2005 or newer and 160,000 mile or less vehicle. While supplies last, not everyone will qualify for all rebates. 2 with this net savings. VINs 186-247-186-248. See dealer for details.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone,
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone,
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Fall head over boots in love with music this Valentine's Day. Get ready for Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, returning May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, and more. Enjoy food trucks, mechanical bulls, and line dancing. Tickets start at just $52. Visit CITPfest.com. Brought to you by Hyatt Vacation Club. Don't just say, I love you. Show it with music. Buy tickets now.
This year, resolve to save on the all-new 2025 Silverado at Maida Chevy with $8,000 off MSRP after rebates on over 30 new half-ton Silverado LT and RST after rebates. And Maida Chevy has one of the largest selections of new 2025 Silverados in the Sacramento area. $8,000 off new 2025 Silverado at Maida Chevy. Now that's big, huge. See them all at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers. Must own 2011 or newer Chevrolet.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sacktown Sports 1140. Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking up to 2 p.m. Joined by Brandon Nunez and Chris Watkins while they are getting settled in because it's going to be a bumpy ride. Let's hear from Mitch, who wants to be a part of the conversation. What's up, Mitch? What you got for us? Mitch? All right, thanks, Mitch. As we get to the round table, Brendan is looking for I
do a pretty good Mitch.
A plug-in. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just wait for
okay, yeah. We'll just come back.
To call back. Guys, how you doing?
Splendid.
Yeah.
You know, it's great times. It's great times right now. Sorry we couldn't join you last week. We actually both got sick on like he got better and then I got sick, and so yeah, we're doing all right as far as good can go these days, with the state of things.
Yeah, and look, I want to start here and give both of you the floor just on, and I know Return of the Roar is out, so go check that out wherever you get your podcast. Also, of course, on the Sacktown YouTube. So go check that out as well. But yeah, I just want to give both of you the floor to just process how we got here and what the Kings should do next.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we got here. It's a long process. I mean, De'Aaron's been here, 7.5, 8 years. And I think that, to me, really the cherry on top is moving on from Mike Brown, a guy that De'Aaron Fox wanted to be around. He made that pretty clear this offseason and was complimentary of the continuity that was starting to build with this team. And by the way, I think San Antonio, being his preferred destination, reaffirms some of that. That's maybe the most stable organization in the NBA. If from De'Aaron's perspective, seems like we've reached a point where it's hard for him to have faith in this organization. And what organization are you going to trust more than the Spurs? Right. So I think that points towards that. I think also just there's a lot of little things that build up. It's drafting a bunch of guards in the lottery during De'Aaron's time here. It's the fact that Harrison Barnes and Keegan Murray are the only reliable two-way wings forwards that he's had as teammates for the past 7 seasons. It's the almost deals that have happened for this team, whether that's Kyle Kuzma a few years ago, or it seems like John Collins is kind of sitting there waiting this season. It's then coming to him and entertaining the idea of trading him before actually making that deal for the winger forward that he's been saying that we need for a long time. And I think that that's an easy reality to sort of be on board with on De'Aaron's side there. So I think that the not having a press conference after moving on from Mike Brown, De'Aaron Fox taking a lot of the brunt of that, having to come out and defend himself. You can go back to last year when Keon Ellis was going out after a press conference and everybody's like, where the heck is De'Aaron? And De'Aaron gets a bunch of crap for it. Turns out the team never asked him to speak, and he takes a bunch of crap for it. They never came out and defended him. So I think it's just a combination of things where from De'Aaron's perspective, you're probably fed up over it and lost any sort of remaining trust you had in this organization to be the one that you can actually compete on.
Yeah, I mean, I think you did a great job of laying it out there. I mean, just in simple terms, I mean, De'Aaron, had Rich Paul go to Monty McNair and West, what was that last year that we got that report, and pretty much say, hey, can you improve things around here? Because we're not really comfortable locking ourselves in long term without knowing, are you guys going to be a perennial playoff team, or are we going to continue to kind of play this play-in dance for the rest of De'Aaron's career? And I think fairly, De'Aaron Fox asked his organization, can we make some significant improvements? Since then, they did go out and get DeMar DeRozan, to their credit. That does need to go into the front office's cap. But at the same time, they then fired Mike Brown after extending him. Now, granted, that's not the front office's money. That's Vivek's money. But pretty crazy to sign somebody to a new deal and then 6 months later can them, and then again not continue to try and improve the team, and instead to, as Brendan just laid out, to go back to De'Aaron, and instead of saying, which by the way we have heard that the team was informed as recently as last week that a deal was happening, to then be told, hey, how you told us to go out and make the team better and go look for improvements. Well, instead, turns out like we were actually kind of like looking to see what we could get for you.
Right.
How else was he supposed to kind of react to that except for, okay, if you're telling me, or if you're asking for permission, then yeah, sure, I guess, because I already asked you to make this situation better, and you clearly had a different agenda, a different prerogative, and you went out and did that. So yeah, sure, go ahead. If you want to trade me, go ahead and trade me. I'm not going to stop you. And I think that's kind of where we're at now. I don't think De'Aaron ever formally requested a trade or anything like that. I think the Kings asked if he was willing, if he would be okay, if there would be hard feelings if they looked at some of these offers, and De'Aaron pretty much said, if that's what you guys want to do, who am I to stop you?
I think the easiest thing from a fan base perspective is it seems like a lot of Kings fans don't have faith in the front office themselves in this organization to be moving forward. And I would just say that being a player in that spent 7-8 years of his career and is wondering, hey, what am I going to do for this next deal that's going to take me through my prime, who's, by the way, a hyper athletic point guard. And sometimes those guys fall off pretty quickly.
John Wall, Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook.
If you're frustrated from a fan perspective with this team, imagine how frustrated you'd be if you were a player and your livelihood was really on the line with all this stuff.
If I'm playing devil's advocate, which, we've played all the angles here, and I don't even know if devil's advocate is the correct term, but when it comes to what De'Aaron, and we've been having some fun with just the locker room, and De'Aaron says, hey, this team is kind of trash, and everyone's looking around just thinking, who is he talking about? But going into this season, when they have that conversation, do either of you believe that it was actually still salvageable this year? Because kind of where I'm at with it, with all the stuff that you've laid out, Brendan, with all the stuff that you've laid out, Chris, was John Collins really going to save all that? Or as, De'Aaron's wife is saying, hey, we didn't actually ask for a trade, and we don't know what happened in that conversation. Are we sure at this point with everything that's happened that it was just get us one guy and let's rock and roll? Or was it, hey, we just need to be better, and the Kings are thinking, well, yeah, we've messed up in the past, whether they admit it or not, we don't know, but now we can't cook everything to try to make up for it. It is what it is. Because I'm struggling with, I'm not struggling with the fact that De'Aaron wants the team to be better. I'm struggling with how realistic it was at this point, and whether or not we talked to Brett Siegel earlier, overselling for John Collins. Maybe they didn't want to do that because they didn't feel like that's enough to keep De'Aaron.
Yeah, I think it's tricky. I think it was a tall task in the first place, but I think the ask was more so like, give me a reason to trust you.
Right.
That you are going to at least continue to try.
So, but you're saying if they pull off John Collins, right, they slightly overpay, if in their mind, you think that would have been enough for De'Aaron to say, Thank you. Let's rock and roll.
I think maybe you're saying effort goes a long way.
Yeah, that is essentially that. Hey, like, I just want to see that you're trying, that you're going to be a team that is going to try to go all in right now, because this is my timeline.
Like, babe, I asked you to do the dishes and you come home and the dishes are done.
Right.
Right.
Right. And it's just the effort. It's showing that, like, you're on the same timeline as me here. Like, we're both thinking that it's now. And they didn't give a reason to do that. I think firing Mike Brown also points against that. So I would say, like, maybe if you make a John Collins deal, if you have faith in Mike Brown to stick around, and I get that wasn't going well, and in hindsight, that deal moving on from him looks fine right now. But Mike was very focused on, like, the long-term eventual championship. And even if that means a little hiccups in the regular season, we're focused on the playoffs. And I think that De'Aaron's focused on the same thing. And it doesn't seem like the organization is. So I think, to what Chris has said, it's more about the intent, and showing that intent would go a long way. It certainly doesn't lock in, like, for sure De'Aaron would stick around, you trade for John Collins, you keep Mike Brown. Not what I'm saying. But it changes. I think this is about his perspective on faith and trust in this organization. Again, to just continue to be on the same timeline as him, that it's about right now, prove to me that you think the same thing, and that we are going to try and do something with this current team. And they, have not given him that indication. I think just based on their actions and all the little things we mentioned previously, I think are a couple cherries on top that are just added frustration. So I don't think it would guaranteed save things, but it's a better messaging to the guy that has been pretty clear throughout his whole career that he would prefer to do it here. And I don't think that like just goes out the window on all of this. I actually think he's been pretty loyal to Sacramento throughout most of this. And it's not like he's asking to go to some big city. He's asking to go to another city that's probably the same market size as Sacramento.
Smaller.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Exactly.
It's beautiful.
And so I think that it would have helped his belief in the organization that they are also trying to make it happen during what he views as his timeline.
And clearly they weren't willing. Well, from what we're hearing, they weren't willing to take that chance. They thought we've messed up too much that we don't want to take a chance on John Collins, and then you still leave, which I mean, shoot, the John Collins thing could still happen. Like, we could still talk about a De'Aaron Fox trade and whatever of these original deals. Wouldn't that be crazy
that we were talking about?
Brett didn't shut it down. I think I just listened to the
no,
you guys did, right? He didn't completely shut down that sense. That he just essentially said this is how their time is being occupied at this moment.
Basically, the timeline was they were talking about. So they were kind of in the middle of the deal. The Kings were the ones that got cold feet. And it had kind of froze, and then this De'Aaron stuff comes out. So I guess the question becomes, the Kings are getting cold feet, and maybe part of the cold feet was whoever called about De'Aaron Fox, and then they decide, well, maybe we could do this. I don't know if you saw the report. It was, I think, Flippin from the Kings Herald had said that they then went from John Collins to Cam Johnson, but I don't know. I saw that.
Yeah, well, I think it makes sense timeline wise that, like, it sounded like a John Collins deal was pretty much lined up, right? All but done. And maybe that meant that, like, it was done but contingent on something else happening first. There's a lot of scenarios where, like, one trade can hold up the whole market.
The Jimmy Butler trade,
and
right?
The Jimmy Butler trade is definitely what I'm getting to, that maybe Utah had some aspect of, hey, we think we're going to be the third team here, and if this happens, then we'll do the John Collins trade. Or maybe Sacramento was trying to be the third team in a Miami deal. Like, I don't know in that aspect, so maybe it was sitting there contingent on something else happening first, but the fact that the team was also just in New York for 4 days, by the way. They had a day off before they played the Knicks, a day in between they played Brooklyn, and my understanding is that they also stayed there the day after they played Brooklyn. They had 4 days where Monty McNair, front office, went on this trip, and you'd imagine that's an opportunity to go have those conversations about Cam Johnson.
Right.
And, I think obviously a deal hasn't taken place at this point. So that tells you at least an extent of how those conversations went. And from their perspective, it makes sense to entertain De'Aaron deals. Like, he already had this conversation with you after you fire Mike Brown. I already felt like writing was on the wall. If it wasn't, I didn't expect the deadline to be what we were talking about, but I definitely thought this was probably done in the offseason. And so from a front office perspective, you'd rather entertain it right now. Your offers are probably better right now.
Right.
And it makes sense to do that. But again, I understand De'Aaron's frustration on the other side of this, and it just puts you in a weird spot where it's like, all right, what is this direction going to look like? And the other complicated caveat here is that, like, we don't even know that this front office was going to make it through this offseason.
Right. And if you do move on from De'Aaron, what, you just get a redo? You get to hit the reset and restart with
they're not going to fully rebuild.
No, but
you
but so we got to get to the other side. But my question is, because I want your guys' thoughts on this. If we're all okay with not okay, but we understand the idea of entertaining, where is it that they went wrong? There's a lot of blame being placed on how this got out, who this would benefit, where exactly. And everybody just has their pitchforks in the front offices. They're the easy ones to kind of go after. But we all can agree, hey, you got to listen. So where was that misstep? And we let Chris and Brendan put their GM hats on, and we ask them what would they do next. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
All guests and callers join us from the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Saturday night, Kings and Thunder. Team night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip off at 5.
The Kings play here on Sacktown Sports.
Sacktown Sports, 1140.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
Oh, please, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be
reeling in the refund.
Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Oh, I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Whitey Gleason tomorrow, and we discussed the blame that some people have been placing on the front office and where things exactly went wrong. So, guys, they get the call, and Brendan, great job laying out the kind of New York aspect of this and why the John Collins thing maybe got put on pause. Let's see what Cam was their number one. Let's see what Cam Johnson has going and how that kind of went on from there. The John Collins deal gets weird and they don't get Cam Johnson, and then somebody decides to call. We still don't know who that is. I'm sure we'll find out at some point about De'Aaron Fox, and they decide to tell De'Aaron. It gets out, it gets to Shams, it gets out in other local outlets, and everybody is saying that for some reason, maybe that the front office wanted it to get out, but from Kyle and I's perspective, it feels like the agents would want this to get out. So where exactly do you feel like the front office went wrong with this? Because we can all agree in a level-headed fashion that listening to the offer isn't terrible. You have to, it doesn't matter how comfortable you are. You can listen. So from the moment they got the call, where did things go south?
I mean, I have to feel like it went south before that.
I think it did.
Yeah,
that's what I feel like too.
Yeah, I think. As is everything, I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but I think it's mainly the firing of Mike Brown and that really taking a big hit on De'Aaron's feelings on the stability and maybe where De'Aaron even stands in the hierarchy of it all. As we know, if your franchise player, if your superstar feels really positive about something and then you go completely against it.
Right.
That's kind of, again, much like
you're telling them how you feel.
Yeah, exactly. You're telling them how you're showing him how you feel. And then, I also do think that while Mike was still in charge, but I think the losing streak had a big factor too. Like, I think this thing was supposed to go a whole lot better this entire season. And I think the fact that they waited pretty much until they absolutely had to get something for Harrison Barnes and talking about DeMar DeRozan, like, I think the fact that every move has felt forced in terms of making the team better, like, it's crazy. Keegan Murray, Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, and Domantas Sabonis were all acquired by this team in 2022. They have not made a significant move to add somebody since besides DeMar DeRozan this entire time. And I think that it's kind of like what Brendan said. I mean, I think it's just a bunch of straws that finally broke the camel's back. And then again, when you go back to De'Aaron after hearing that they were going to make a move to finally make the team better, and then you go back to him and you tell him, we're actually entertaining trades for you. Is that okay? You worried about the wrong thing. It's like, how is this what you're coming back to me with when all that I have asked as a franchise player, as somebody who is stuck through all bad moments with this organization that frankly doesn't deserve a benefit of the doubt, is you come back to me and say, is it okay if we trade you or look to trade you? I just think that's kind of where you went wrong, is by assuming that De'Aaron Fox was just going to continue to play along. And then, I mean, even now he's still playing along. So I don't know. To me, it's just a mess that the front office kind of created themselves. And I just feel like they've kind of created their own mess here.
It almost feels like they suffered from maybe being too polite or giving De'Aaron too much information. So you take the call, right? You don't have to tell De'Aaron.
I think the fear is that if they don't tell De'Aaron, though, and then he hears, because Rich Paul is his agent, and he hears, wait, so now not only did I ask you guys, but now you're going behind my back to try and see if you can move me. I think you put yourself in the situation before. I think that, again, it's just death by 1,000 lashes. Like, they've put themselves in this situation by their actions beforehand.
Right. But you get the call, you call De'Aaron, right? And we're good with that because you essentially have to do it. The issue is just the idea that you're that you're entertaining it, right? I'm still trying to you see what I'm saying? I'm still trying to figure out, is the issue not necessarily how they handled it, just the idea. And you've actually been big on this on Twitter, Brendan. The issue isn't really how they handled it. The issue is just straight up you even deciding to entertain moving De'Aaron before getting him help. Is it that simple?
Yeah, which I agree with you. I think that it's normal for the front office to explore all paths, right? And I think the transparency with communicating that to De'Aaron is fine. I think that's a normal process. I think the frustration from De'Aaron's standpoint is what Chris is saying, what we've kind of been laying out, is we're really going to talk about this before we even talk about who else we're going to have on this team to help me out. Because again, De'Aaron's like shown a loyalty to this team, wanting to be here. The conversation in the offseason wasn't meant to be like a threat. it was just legitimately like, hey, I want to compete for something and I would like to do that here. So give me a reason to think that I can do that. Mm-hmm. And for the conversation that he has with the team to be, hey, we're kind of looking at this a little bit before a deal is even locked in, when they've also expressed that like a deal's kind of right there for a couple of weeks now. And previously, go back to like, I heard that De'Aaron kind of likes Kyle Kuzma, and the Kyle Kuzma Buddy Hield deal years ago almost happened. I think they're playing Pacer highlights in here earlier. I think we can go back to Monty McNair's first deal as the GM of the Sacramento Kings was to trade eventually Halliburton for Domantas Sabonis, but it was very public that they actually would have preferred to move De'Aaron Fox. Right. And you go back to that, De'Aaron had a lingering ankle injury, decided then right before the deadline was the time to take it. It seemed like right away that they were probably going to move on from Fox. So like from there probably is that, not to say that De'Aaron was checked out from there, but again, it's a combination of all of these things. It's the way that he's had to take the brunt of things for the last 2 years and they haven't came out and defended him. It's the unprofessionalism that we've seen from this organization time and time again. And like I said, even from our perspective, we have very little faith that they are going to make the right decisions moving forward. And I think that De'Aaron is very much at that same point. And, you know, you feel a little, I guess, probably just in your feelings and over it when they decide, when all you've been asking is, hey, please go make a trade for a winger forward. And you're really going to come to me right now about, hey, how do you feel about being somewhere else?
Right.
Which, again, I understand it from the front office perspective, and it's a weird thing to be the tipping point, but I think it's less about that moment and all the things that led up to it.
That is a great job laying all that out. And yeah, I think the main thing is people keep putting, I was just trying to lay out to listeners and fans that it is more than just, oh, well, how they handled this is the issue. And I was hearing a lot of how they handled, and I'm thinking, I don't think it's this. It's how we got there. And you go out, you pay a little bit extra because he's the biggest name you've had since, you say Boogie or Chris Webber, whoever you want to say, and you pay a little extra, even if it costs you Devin Carter, whatever you need to do that's not out of control, and you get John Collins and you say, we got you DeMar DeRozan, we got you John Collins, we are making an attempt, and if he wants to walk away, we can look our fans in the eyes and say, realistically, this is all we could have done. But they can't say that. All right, we're over on time again. We let Brendan and Chris be GMs on the other side. We also have our AEW giveaway, 2 tickets. 2 winners, okay? 2 numbers. Brendan picks one, Chris picks one, because we missed out yesterday. So 2 numbers, 2 chances to get AEW Dynamite. Alan Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
The only place you'll find Malik Monk is Sacktown Sports.
Oh my, what an athletic move that time by Malik Monk.
Hey Sacramento, it's Malik Monk, and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-235-5588. That's 800-235-5588. 800-235-5588.
When you take the time to shop at Folsom Lake Honda, there's one thing you'll always find: happy people ready to serve you. As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too. Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Hey,
It's Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, and the regular season is over, but the high hand bonuses, those are not. $500 per primetime football game, whether it's weekend, Monday night, whatever it may be. And those bonuses available until the season ends, including the big game on February 9th. Capital Casino, 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com. Please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
This 49er injury report is brought to you by Jeremy Winter, attorney at law. He cares because he's been there. After an injury-plagued 2024 season, which ended 6-11 and out of the playoffs, the 49ers will focus on getting healthy in the offseason. Running backs Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mason, and Isaac Guerrero all suffered season-ending injuries. Left tackle Trent Williams' ankle kept him out late in the year, and Brock Purdy missed the season finale with a hurt elbow. 49ers hope to enter 2025 with a full roster back intact.
Serious accident. You deserve the law offices of Jeremy Winter. 877-637-3237. Jeremy lost his mother in a car accident and knows firsthand the pain caused by tragedy. That is why he became an attorney to fight for others who are going through a tragedy. If you've been seriously injured in an accident, you deserve more. You deserve better. You deserve Jeremy Winter. 877-637-3237.
Hello, Sacramento. I'm Emran Pilati, owner of True Sports Cards and Collectible Store here in Rockland, California, and the host of the True Sports Cards Show that airs right here on Sacktown Sports 1140 every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m., where we discuss the latest trends, hottest products, and deliver exclusive interviews with other industry leaders. And don't forget to visit our shop, True Sports Cards, at 6661 Stanford Ranch Road in Rockland and see what we have for all your sports card and memorabilia needs.
You know, when it's all on the line, you need a big-time closer, and that's especially true when it comes to your garage door. And that's why I recommend National Garage Door, 638-4554. Whitey Gleason here for National Garage Door. Whether you're looking to repair an existing door or get a brand new one installed, you need National Garage Door. Family-owned and operated. They've been around since 1974 because service is their #1 priority. National Garage Door are the region's BSE, it's broken spring experts. Styles, prices, and quality of the new doors will amaze you. Our garage door was starting to sound kind of, and that's not good. So Kevin from National Garage Door came out. He said patching up the old one was an option, but we're getting a new garage door. We're pretty happy about that. National Garage Door sells quality Rainer branded garage doors. They offer sales, service, and installation on all residential and commercial doors and operators. If you have garage door needs, old ones coming apart, or you're looking to improve your curb appeal, let National Garage Door come through for you in the clutch and be your closer. 638-4554, National Garage Door.
The only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
It is time. Win a pair of tickets to all Elite Wrestling at Sacramento Memorial Auditorium on March 5th. All Elite Wrestling brings you an action-packed night of professional wrestling as AEW Dynamite invades the Sacramento Memorial Auditorium on March 5th. We're looking for lucky caller numbers.
It's got to be 5.
5, yeah, got to be 5.
5 and 5.
5 and 5. Be 5A.
Oh, we needed
5B.
different numbers?
Nope, we're all good. Cool. 916-339-1140. 916-339-1140. 916-339-1140. So, guys, and Kyle will take care of you. We see him coming in now. Caller number 5 and caller number 5. Guys,
it's going to be at Memorial.
That's right. Awesome. Oh, well, so I asked Kyle, I said, do you know? I've never heard of this place.
Oh, Memorial. Oh, my gosh.
What's up?
No,
what's up?
no,
Hold on now.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Do your thing.
No.
I was gonna take a picture of it this morning when I biked past it.
His
just
thing?
so I could tell.
What's happening?
All right, Brendan. Now Kyle's he's ran away now. He's picking a winner. Well, Chris, what's up with the auditorium? It's a 6 spot.
It's just great. I mean, it's right in the heart of downtown, and it's where I graduated. It's where a ton of people graduate high school here.
Wow.
Memorial Auditorium's the spot.
Do you think I've never been to a wrestling event.
I've only been, actually, you know what's crazy? The only thing I've ever been to at Memorial besides graduation, Kid Cudi concert.
Okay.
So crazy. It was like after he had already kind of, came and went, and he just randomly stopped through Memorial Auditorium. It was great. But it's probably a pretty perfect venue actually for wrestling. It's got like the theater, like the second deck and all that stuff. It should actually be a really good wrestling spot.
There you go.
Wow. That's cool. That's
Chris
awesome.
can sell it for you.
There you
March 5th. Coming up, and it's on March 5th, guys.
What? No way.
Will there still be a number 5 on the Sacramento Kings?
I was like, what's the significance?
What did you think, real quick? And you guys are gonna put your GM hats on. I had to ride for. Well, I have 2 things to go over with you. First of all, I had to ride
No Scary
for.
Terry shirt. He said he was going to wear his Terry Rozier shirt.
I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it
because
rough.
Just good timing.
Got caught up with some prop talk.
Rough situation. Two things that happened last night that I found to be pretty crazy.
Okay.
The first one was how people were freaking out over the NBC Sports poll. Did you see that?
No.
It was, what should the Kings do with De'Aaron?
Their post-game poll?
Oh, I did see that.
Did you think that was a bad look? I thought fans were overreacting a little bit.
Definitely overreacting. Who cares?
That's what I said.
Yeah, I didn't see the fan reaction, but I was chuckling a little bit at the poll when I saw it.
I mean,
it's a very reasonable question.
Would we not put that on our YouTube poll?
It is a timely question.
I mean, they're clearly NBC and Kings have a partnership, right? It's probably some intern or some social person that's firing this up, and fans took it like, how dare they? They thought it was Monty McNair on a laptop.
Right.
Let me see what these people think.
Yeah.
Let me just see what's popping right now.
Like all of the Kings universe isn't asking the same question amongst themselves.
I want to know what people think. Wow. So that was number 1. Number 2.
Did we ever get poll results on that, by the way?
I did not see it. I think they probably pulled it down.
Yeah.
Number 2 was people coming down Jason Anderson's road when he said this could be the last Kentucky Connection lob. And people were blocking him, saying this is the negativity that I can't stand. People were in their feelings last night, man. So I rode for Jason a little bit earlier in the show because I'm thinking, come on, guys. Jason has nothing. He's not wrong.
No, he's not.
It looked terrible last night.
I've literally had just texts with Frankie back and forth of like, man, you never thought when you went on leave that you saw your last game of De'Aaron Fox in a Kings jersey. Huh?
Somebody's going to block you.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to block you.
I'm sure I had plenty of people that blocked me. Yeah.
So before we get into what the Kings are going to attempt to do on the court, and I know you saw the Warriors beat the Thunder, so this could get ugly on Saturday. Both of you put your GM hats on. It's 1:36.
7 days away officially from the NBA trade deadline.
Chris Watkins, GM Chris Watkins, you have a vest on right now.
Okay.
What do you do? What is your first move right now?
And I have the option of doing, like, I can keep De'Aaron if I want. I can trade De'Aaron if I want. You can do anything. If I were them at this point, I would trade De'Aaron. I think that the damage is done from a relationship standpoint. I'm not saying it couldn't be repaired, but it just would never be the same. I would try and trade him, and I would definitely look to San Antonio first. I mean, they have, I would say, the best collection of young assets and draft capital. I would push hard for Stephon Castle. I would push really hard to get Stephon Castle and Devin Vassell. And I would try and get both of those Atlanta picks that they own. And if I could, try and see if we can get that 2031 or whatever, 2030 pick that they just shipped off to get DeMar DeRozan. I would try and get those back and call it a day. I mean, I think Castle is probably the player that I would be most excited from this draft class to work out. He seems like a legitimate two-way player. Devin Vassell, I'm not as high as Brennan is, but he's somebody who's been a good scorer for San Antonio. His contract is already signed, which is good in one aspect, but it's also $24 to $27 million per year, which I'm just not sure he's that caliber of player. But I think getting those two Atlanta picks is great because you don't have to worry about, well, you are trading picks with a team that has Victor Wembanyama, and that's going to be, somewhere in the mid to high 20s for the next 10 years versus Atlanta, that seems like a sinking ship. And if they're not going to have their first round picks to make them better, that seems kind of like, how Boston got the Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum trade with the Brooklyn Nets, just kind of sat on those picks, were able to kind of build out separately and not have to worry about their own success getting in the way of their future development. So yeah, I would try and pursue a trade with San Antonio as aggressively as possible. And if you can't get it done with them, I mean, I kind of think you just open it up to whoever offers the most first round picks at that point. I mean, if they're not going to get some legitimate young piece to be excited about, I kind of feel like you should try and move to these OKC, Utah, kind of situations where you're looking for the next opportunity to pounce on. But even then, I mean, it kind of becomes a conversation of, let's just go pie in the sky. And let's say the Kings ship De'Aaron off for a Mikal Bridges trade and get 7 first round picks back. What, they're gonna go into the Giannis sweepstakes this offseason? Like, I just don't know who. Brendan's been really on this. Like, who is the 1A that the Kings would eventually get or try and get if they do move off from De'Aaron Fox, regardless of if you think De'Aaron's a 1A or a 1B, whatever. At some point, you need to have that kind of caliber player. Where is that player coming from?
Yeah, well, and just real quick, because I want to give you we might have to do you on the other side, Brendan. But the funny thing is, Chris, as we keep talking to these different teams, and maybe I'm late on this. I remember this being a terrible draft, but Stephon Castle, untouchable. Okay, if you ask a Spurs fan.
Sure,
now,
of course.
Devin, you said Devin Vassell. I'm not too high. Untouchable as well. I found out yesterday.
Okay,
so everybody.
So now it's Jeremy Sohan and Zach Collins,
and Trey
Chris
Jones.
Paul. Okay.
We finally got.
Right.
We didn't even get
not Tyus. Couldn't get Tyus.
We got Trey Jones, and what did it cost you? Everything. Brendan puts on his GM hat on the other side. One more segment with you, and we ask the guys, how can the Kings move forward, or should this thing just be done? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
Hi, I'm Justin Gingery. One of the most common questions I receive is what makes us different from other law firms. At Gingery, Hammer & Associates, we handle your case from beginning to end. Whether your case reaches a settlement, whether we need to file suit, or even take it all the way to trial, we will be with you along the entire way. And because we are committed to you and your case, we are as invested as you are in making sure you get the outcome you deserve. If you have an injury, just call Gingery.
If your passion is bass fishing, only one radio show has the action, information, and excitement of your favorite outdoor sport. Ultimate Bass, hosted by Tournament Bass Pro and California Outdoor Hall of Famer Kip Brown, takes you live to where the fish are biting every Saturday morning. Only Ultimate Bass feeds your passion with the latest news, products, tips, and advice from the pros. Ultimate Bass with Kip Brown, Saturday mornings at 5 a.m. on Sacktown Sports 1140, part of SEP's Saturday Morning Outdoors.
Hey, this is Greg Papa. Are you working through a major insurance claim? SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to, not what just some adjuster working for an insurance company thinks you should get. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884.
Listen for the Toyota Tahoe Report every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with Johnny Mosley to get the latest weather conditions in Tahoe throughout this snow season. Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
$15 more minutes with you from Dwayne on the text line. We're going to get Brendan's thoughts. He's going to put on his GM hat. Chris would have, look, good plan or bad plan, it's probably the plan at this point, depending on if you think that De'Aaron Fox and the idea of keeping De'Aaron Fox is too far gone. Are we hypnotized? Castle and Vassell, more guards, unbelievable. Dwayne, well, Stephon Castle is 6'7". Okay, he's small forward.
He's a 2. Yeah, I mean,
he can handle
2-3.
the ball.
Yeah.
He's not. It ain't Devin Carter. No disrespect. He's 6'6", 6'7". And Devin Vassell. Neither of these guys are potatoes. And again, if you're moving on from De'Aaron, you need Chris,
probably Kevin Huerter at some point too.
Yeah, and because I don't see pure point guard. Everyone keeps saying the Devin Carter thing. I don't know if I'm not going to say that Monty they didn't do their due diligence, but I definitely don't see playmaker pure point guard when I watch Devin Carter.
No, not at all. And I mean, he's even said it as much that I believe he's flat out said, like, I've played most of my career off ball. I mean, like, I can play on ball, absolutely, but he's very, very comfortable playing off ball. And if anything, I mean, I think we've seen that Malik probably is the one that moves the point guard after that. I mean, he's the one who's been playmaking. And I mean, that connection with Domas is very legit and is something that, you know, if Malik is going to be the primary ball handler, like, you could see how that could be scaled up a significant amount. But I think Malik is probably still this. I mean, if De'Aaron's not here, he's the team's pretty much only ball handler at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
main facilitator, main ball handler.
They've been working on it with Colby Jones. They've been working on it with Keon Ellis. They've been working on it with these guys, and they just have. But that's why you get Trey Jones.
That's right. That's right. 100%.
Chris Paul.
That's why you get
point guard.
CP3. Brett, sorry, this person is just convinced we want Fox gone, and they just keep texting the same thing. You know who you are, 916. Brendan, putting on your GM hat. What would you do, good sir? Right now, the time is 1:45 on the dot.
Yeah, it's a tough one because it depends if you feel like the situation's cooked, and I don't think it's past the point of recovery, but like as if there's just no world, but it's extremely unlikely, I think, that you're salvaging this at this point, which makes me lean towards, like, do it now. You probably get the most assets right now compared to whatever you're dealing with in the deadline. And while San Antonio is clearly his preferred place, no questions asked, that doesn't mean that that's where you have to get the return from necessarily. Like, there's 3-team deals that come into play, or maybe you get assets and like Chris was saying, it makes you a real threat for some of these other guys in the offseason. Or if you wait till the offseason, like, what if Lauri Markkanen is somehow the main piece that you're getting back in a deal, or Brandon Ingram is floated out there, you know, like, you could go more in those win now directions. But me personally, if it's totally up to me, I am fully resetting. I am.
Now, what does that mean now,
like,
good sir?
Everybody. Like,
now,
I'd move on from DeMar DeRozan. I'd move on from Domantas Sabonis. I'd move on from Malik Monk. I'd probably keep Keegan Murray and Devin Carter. And you have the 11th pick currently as the Kings. Atlanta has the 10th odds currently, which is a pick owned by the Spurs. And this is a very, very good draft class. And I know people I don't expect them to do this at all. I think that they want to remain competitive. And I think that they can do that to an okay extent, depending on what your definition of competitive is. But me personally, like I said, like, the main thing here is you're losing your 1A. Your only guy that I think could even flirt with being a number one in a postseason. That's where Fox, I think you're really going to feel his absence is in the postseason. Obviously, you have to get there first, but less so maybe in the regular season. Maybe Malik can pick it up, blah, blah, blah. I think you need a number one. And the way that you get that as a team in Sacramento is through the draft. And this draft is really, really good. Next year's draft is really, really good. And I know it's not fun. I'd bottom out for 2-3 years. I don't think they're going to do that at all. I think that they're going to try and remain competitive, and maybe you can get some pieces that still mean you're getting the 8th pick in the draft with that Atlanta pick or whatever direction you may want to go in there. So I think that they probably will remain competitive throughout all this, whether that means De'Aaron's on the team through the rest of this year, or it means that, you know, it's this offseason that we make a deal. I think that it's inevitable that a deal is going to take place, whether, again, deadline, offseason, whatever that may be. And you're going to try to retool and just pray that you get the SGA that they got in a Paul George trade. And seen that mentioned a lot. I think it's extremely unlikely. It's about as outlier of a scenario as you get. It's not like SGA was viewed as somebody that anybody thought would be even a number one on a future team, really. And so maybe you get lucky with a Stephon Castle, or if you decide to pivot to Ingram or something. Yeah, I mean, you never know what these guys could turn into. And I think, again, that they can remain competitive. They can remain a 500 team, play-in sort of thing, even without De'Aaron Fox. But what are you really working towards? Right. And I thought that was the clearest thing that Mike Brown did, was that the goal is an eventual championship. And I thought that Monty's had that same messaging since he first got here, and we're working towards that. And now it just feels a lot more reactionary rather than planned, thought through, these are the steps we want to take, because they've kind of sat on their hands for a year and a half here.
Yeah. And you make a good point about what happens if you move on from De'Aaron Fox, because we were kind of joking about John Collins. I don't know if you saw, he spoke with a Jazz reporter, and he said, I'm kind of glad that I'm not moving. And we were trying to make sure that, hey, I don't think this is a Sacramento thing. The Kings are a mess right now, right? But there are the D'Angelo Russells of the world that just want to hoop. Kyle Kuzma was a guy who just wants to hoop and make money. And I don't think that that's Domantas Sabonis. I don't think Domantas Sabonis just wants to hoop. I think he wants to compete. This dude went to Gonzaga. He's a winner. He wants to compete. I definitely don't think Malik Monk just wants to be out here hooping. They bought in. Now, was Mike Brown perfect? No. But they bought into the idea of playing for something. So if you move on from De'Aaron Fox, you're not just going to have some dudes that just want to roll the ball out every night and play for nothing, right? So that's something that will have to be addressed if they move in that direction. You know what's funny? You guys remember, and Chris, me and you, we talked about this specifically, I believe, and we joked about it, and now I don't want to say jokes on us yet, but you remember when the DeMar DeRozan trade went down, and it might have been on the 4-letter network, but there was a big, it was a big sign, and they did winner of the trade, who won the DeMar DeRozan trade, and who lost.
Oh, right.
Does anybody remember who they said?
Spurs were probably
the Spurs won the trade.
Yeah, with an A.
The Spurs won the trade.
Yeah, with Chicago probably losing. Yeah.
No, I think the Kings lost.
The
Kings
both
had
of them lost. I think they both got D's and C's.
Because people were obsessed with the 2030 or the 2031 or whatever.
And who would have thought months later, if they end up winning that trade, now again, that swap we think would go back to the Kings, but then they would net back De'Aaron Fox. Never saw it coming. Never saw it coming.
No.
The other part of this,
changes
guys,
fast in the NBA.
I mean, it really does. The other part of this, guys, before we get out of here, and thanks for joining me. The other part of this is the timeline, right? Brendan, you're giving people hope in saying that this thing is.
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
And it's not completely done yet. But guys, I just don't see how this team can continue to do the dead man walking thing. I mean, it was bad yesterday. So I know they technically have until
Saturday, right?
Well,
you're saying deadline, right?
The deadline, but can they let this team go out 3 more games like this?
Oh, they definitely can.
Well, they can.
They definitely can.
When's that Orlando home game?
It's Wednesday. It's the day before.
Because I was like, that really is a date to circle of like, you do not want this thing to still be going on.
They have a back-to-back
when fans get back.
That is the day before the trade deadline.
Yeah, then they fly to Portland.
Yeah, it has to be taken care of before that. I mean, obviously, that's the day before, but it's like, that is a situation where if you let people vocalize how they feel.
Oh, no.
Not only do you have to worry about, hey, like, here's pregame intros, like, I mean,
maybe he
we're talking
play.
about people yelling from the stands, like towards the bench, towards the. Who knows? I mean, I think, and that still might happen, but I think, I think you definitely want to at least have this thing situated by the time that Orlando, or the Kings, I should say, come back to town on Wednesday.
He's got the finger thing. They can say, "Hey, we're resting."
For sure,
he's resting his finger.
For sure. It wouldn't surprise me if we reach that point.
It already should be at that point, honestly. I was a little surprised he played yesterday.
Yeah.
This is
because if he would have got, I mean, you want to talk about dysfunction and chaos. De'Aaron Fox, like, goes down with it and, like, just can't be traded because he's injured.
He could decide, hey, I'm going to get surgery on this pinky.
Yes.
Like he's not that guy. I don't think he's that guy. I think behind the scenes wise, like it's weird for all these guys, but I also don't think that De'Aaron doesn't. None of this is coming directly from De'Aaron. By the way, he talked to Chris Biederman. Was it yesterday, day before, and made it clear I didn't request a trade. I'm still I'm here to play basketball. I'm going to keep doing that. I don't think that he is going to make it weird behind the scenes. He's so far from a Jimmy Butler. He's not going to call up, I can't even think of her name, Rachel Nichols, and have an interview after a game, after a practice. I think that he can remain fine throughout all this personality. That nonchalant nature that people will get on him for after losses. I think that helps somewhat in all of this, in it not being weird with the teammates. Yes, you're hearing everything, you know what's going on. It's probably more weird for some guys than others, but you got to just be professional and go out there and keep trying to take care of business on the team you're currently on. And De'Aaron's somebody that I think will do that just fine. But maybe you reach a point where it is best to sit him for this finger thing for a little while you try and navigate this complicated situation. But it's not, as much as I think it's likely he gets traded before the deadline, it's not a lock. It takes two to tango. If they don't like what they're hearing, then you might as well wait until the offseason. It's not like you have to move him before this deadline. You want to, and it's probably most beneficial to you. But if it's not there, then you're going to wait.
And then they band together and get to the second round.
Yeah, and you want to talk about chaos.
That's when don't move him, because I do feel like they're going to mess around and get in the playoffs. All right. That's Brandon Nunez.
He's also going to be named an all-star later today, or what?
Well, let's get DeMontis Sabonis in there first.
Okay.
That's Brandon Nunez. That's Chris Watkins. Thank you to both of them for joining us. Go follow them on social media. Return of the Roar, new episode out right now, so be sure to check that out. Thank you to Jason Bede, who